Good day, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Viper of Viperland, and I am here in 428 Shibuya Scramble, where we may platinum the game tonight. It depends on how long Suzune's story is. If it's as long as Canada's, that's going to take the night, and we'll just need like a 20-minute, half hour next time to finish it up. But if it's a shorter story, maybe. I don't know though. I looked up a guide for how to unlock stuff, but that's it. It doesn't say how long the story is. So we're going to find out. Also, hello, Ramen and Mint. How you both doing tonight? Let's get started, I suppose. It was almost 1 o'clock. We really don't know much about her, do we? Takuya Kazama watched the orderly collect his meal tray, waiting for the door to fully close behind him before slipping out of bed. He dragged the folding chair closer to the window and sat down. Then he meticulously scanned the entire length of the vast central courtyard outside. From up here on the second floor, he had a great view of the whole open space. The hospital building was shaped like a boxy U, enclosing a promenade that wove its way between the trees, where pajama-clad patients and visitors from their families were enjoying the first day of sunshine to come along in a while. Love triangle and her murder, Not yet. She still isn't here. Also, hello, Sir Jude. Welcome to Viperland of the chat. Hope your game's going well over there. I seem to be doing okay today. If she does show up in the courtyard, I'll sneak out for a walk myself. And then I'll make sure to go and talk to her. It wasn't Suzune Aki's sister, though? Seem to be behind already. Oh no. Hey, what's your name? No. I can't just up and ask her like that. Maybe I should tell her my name first. So all we know is blood condition, hospital, and that one conversation Aki had with her. That's it. And is Aki's sister. Yeah, I think that might be his mom's name? I don't know. It'll be going well. We just gotta get through this story, and then we unlock a side story from this, and there's 3 unlockable stories that can only be unlocked after this, and that's it. This one, the one we unlock after this, and then the trio of harder to unlock ones, and that's it. If I was just going to speed through it, I could just go through it, but we're doing the content, so. Just not write someone else's name on the paper. Oh, that's always the hardest thing, honestly. Like, legitimately, that's the hardest thing. Because, like, if they're not doing any work, it's like, but also, like, it seems addicting to do, even if it's probably the right thing to do. Also, hey Grim, how's it going? I asked him to do something and they decide to not answer straight. Oh, there you go. PC connects to Twitch slower than your older phone. Weird. I'm Takuya, who are you? Or is it silly to tell her what my name is when she hasn't even asked? So what's wrong with you? No, she's been here at least as long as I have. Whatever it is can't be anything small. So yeah, no way I can open with that. That comes later. Much later. Nice weather we're having. Nah, what am I, 90 years old? I need to say something hip. The second you think the phrase hip in terms of something you need to say, whatever you say won't be. They'll do it eventually or something? Yeah. Okay. You come out here all the time, huh? No, that's terrible. I might as well say, I've been watching you. I mean, yeah, she'll think I'm a stalker. Are you not, though? In the midst of his internal debate, Takuya happened to cast his gaze back out into the courtyard. And there she was, standing right under his window. She wore a white cardigan over her pajamas, standing with her head tilted back and her eyes closed, basking in the light of the sun. The angle finally gave him a good look at her face. The wind caught her evenly cropped bangs, blowing them back to expose the delicate curve of her forehead. She looked deeply happy as she stood breathing, a gentle smile across her face. Anytime I see motion in this game, it's just like, what's happening? What's going on? I'm ill prepared for this. This isn't what I signed up for. Hip is the least hip thing, yeah. Heartbeat of spring. Except for the Vile Toss, yes, true. But that's only because the fear was reduced because we saw it like 37 times back to back. That cuts the fear out of it a little bit. The visual novel is moving, please stop. Takuya felt as though she were smiling at him, even though she clearly wasn't, and it brought a tightness to his chest. He'd always thought that it would make him impossibly happy were that angelic smile ever to turn his way, so why did it hurt so much instead? He saw her open her eyes back up, and he hurriedly backed away from the window. She saw me. Or did she? I don't know. She was looking up towards the skies, and you were staring at her. I can't imagine. No, there's no way she could see in here with the glare. What does it even matter? I was going to talk to her anyway, right? So go on, get out there. Fighting his nerves, Takuya moved back to the windowsill. She was gone. Where had she disappeared to? Takuya scrambled out of his room and rushed to the elevator. Takuya thirsty, clearly. It'll be alright. My muscles aren't too stiff. Today's a good day. Takuya? Takuya, where are you going? He recognized the voice of a familiar nurse calling out from behind him, but he ignored her and jammed his thumb on the close button. Probably a bad idea. I hate something I don't miss from school is group projects. That sounds awful. I wish I had better advice, but it definitely sounds like, yeah, it's also bringing not good memories back either. But I got no good advice for it. Like, it's easy for me, not in that situation now, to be like, yeah, just don't put their names on it. They didn't help. Nobody else is reaching out. They didn't contribute. But when I was in that situation, I'd always put their names on it anyway. So, like, it's easy for me now to be like, well, yeah, no, obviously, the right thing is just don't put the names on it. But when I was in that situation, I didn't take that advice myself, so take that as you will. The only group project I have for this 1 credit hour class. Oh, that's a good point too, Robin. Maybe reach out to the professor. That's a possibility too. Oh, yeah, definitely depends on professors. I really never had any bad college professors, which is probably a good thing. Once he was down on the first floor, he made his way to the courtyard exit, slipped on some sandals, and headed outside. Edwin? Is that his name? No, we know that's not his name. It's gotta be just a brand, I guess. He pretended to be out for a walk, or did he steal Edwin's pajamas? He wandered in search of the girl, but went the length of the courtyard and back to the spot under his window without finding her. Research and hated teaching. Let's see, I got lucky because I went to a really small college up in Vermont, and also the local community college. Community college teachers were pretty chill. I did have one professor who was a super nice human being. He was a nice person. He knew nothing of the subject he was teaching at all. And it made for him to be a poor teacher, but he was a really cool guy. Like, he was friendly, he was as helpful as he could be, but he didn't know the subject he was teaching, so it's only so helpful he could be. And I felt really bad because we had to write him some bad reviews when the review time came around, and he wasn't there next semester. So, like, I hope he found a better job, because, like, I had nothing against him as a person. That was the, like, worst professor I had in college. So, I guess I got lucky. Oh, that's odd. That's where it was. Usually, she stays out here a lot longer. Maybe she caught you staring at her and got creeped out and headed inside. I mean, just a guess. You look a little pale. Are you alright? Asked a voice. Huh? He turned and saw the girl sitting on a nearby bench. Takuya took half a step back in surprise. Somehow he'd missed her in the shadow of the tree. "I'm sorry," she said. "Did I startle you?" Send a message asking to get a vote. Won't we have a deadline on Monday? That sounds reasonable, yeah. Honestly, sounds like a very reasonable thing. No, not really. You look like you're in pain. Should I get you a doctor? I get the question because they are at a hospital. It's also funny because they're at a hospital. She was right. He wasn't used to so much walking. "I'll be alright. I just need to rest for a bit," he said. Relieved, he'd managed to answer. Lately, his words hadn't been coming out all that well. The girl stood up and reached a hand out to him, but Takuya couldn't bring himself to take it. Instead, he simply sat down on the bench, not too close to her, but not too far away either. Make Aki the person. Yeah, that's fair. That's a very good point. Want to teach advanced, it really worked with the group numbers. His heart had suddenly begun pounding, but he couldn't tell if it was because of his exhaustion or because he was so close to her. "So, you're the boy from that room up there who's always watching me and thinks I don't notice." She pointed to his window on the second floor, and Takuya had to stifle a gasp. "A little earlier we made eye contact, didn't we?" "Did we?" Takuya mumbled, averting his gaze. "I was just spacing out. I didn't notice. I've seen you up there from time to time. You look lonely. Are you not able to leave your room much?" She didn't notice that I'm always looking at her. Good. "Yeah, I get tired real easily." "I see. I'm not able to get very much exercise myself. But they told me that when I'm feeling well enough for it, I should get up and walk around a bit so my leg muscles don't get weak." "You have a problem with your legs?" "No, my heart. They say the legs are like a second heart. They play an important part in blood circulation. So if my leg muscles get too weak, it's bad for my health. You know how when a racehorse breaks a leg, it winds up dying? I guess it's sort of like that." I don't know if that's exactly the case, but sure, okay. Her tone was cheerful enough, as if she talked about this all the time, but the thought filled Takuya with sadness. "So, he began. "Yes? Do you mind if I ask you your name?" As he fumbled the words out, the girl broke into a beaming smile. That wonderful smile, the one that until now he had only seen from afar, so many times. Suzune Endo. Suzune is written with the characters for bell and sound, so like the chiming of bells. Suzune, the chiming of bells. It was a name that suited her soothing voice perfectly. Suzune Endo, Suzune Endo. Takuya repeated the name to himself over and over. "What's your name?" "Takuya. Takuya Kazama." "Takuya Kazama, huh? That's a pretty cool name." "I guess it means tough guy or something. Not that I live up to that." The truth was that Takuya was always embarrassed to tell strangers his name. Kazuma Kiryu, basically, you know. Just how it is. "I don't know about that. You seem pretty cool to me, Takuya. So how old are you?" Takuya's heart sank. Only kids had to be told they weren't cool. "I'm 14. What about you, Suzune?" From afar, he hadn't realized how tall she was. Taller than him, and probably older. "I'm 17. He'd thought the difference would be less. 3 whole years apart? Takuya's heart sank further. Now she seemed even more unattainable. As he tried to think of a way to nonchalantly ask... Wait. I missed the part where we have to find the code. Oh, cool. A bot. So I missed the part where we gotta find... It's literally... that. But we can't go back in time and do it. Thankfully it's not that far into it, so we'll just go over to it. It's not too deep into it, but I missed it. I had the screenshot up on the left-hand side of the screen, too, just so I'd know, like, this is the exact time, and I still blew it. Suzune. Did I miss anything right there? Oh, as he tried to think of a way to nonchalantly ask Suzune where her room was, he heard the slap-slap of sandals approaching. Okay. A boy came running up. He was young, maybe in first grade or so. Hi, Ken. Long time no see. This your brother? Takuya asked. No, he's in the room next to mine. Who's this? The boy clung possessively to Suzune's knees as he peered at Takuya. This is Takuya Kazama. He's a patient like us. Huh? Hey, I got some candy. Want to eat it? The boy tugged on Suzune's hand. Oh yeah? Alright then, Takuya. I'll see you later. Yeah. Later. Later? Later when? Am I actually going to get to see her again? Alright man, no worries. Sounds like you got some busy stuffs over there. I hope things work out with the group project as best as possible. And see you around. Suzune sorry. As Takuya watched the young boy drag Suzune back inside, he felt a bitter surge of resentment. He thought that I can read English tonight. He'd thought that finally getting the chance to talk to her would make him feel a lot better. But instead, he felt worse than he had back when all he could do was stare at her through the window. The sunlit garden suddenly struck him as cold and desolate, so he trudged back inside, his muscles faintly shuddering with each step. He made his way back towards the elevator to find the head nurse waiting in the corridor, glaring at him. He kept his head down and tried to slip on past her, but she snapped at him as he drew near. What were you talking about with Miss Endo? Huh? Takuya blushed at the idea that she'd been watching them, but he soon realized she was being serious. You shouldn't get too close to that girl. Wow, that's a thing to say, I guess. Why not? He asked. She may not look like it, but she's seriously ill, like most people who stay at the hospital for an extended period of time, I imagine. Neither of you has the ability to fend off a major infection, and we certainly don't want you to go catching anything. The nurse looked away as she spoke, rattling off the words. They let her go outside like that, right? Yes, that's true. But Takuya, why in the world did you go out? Did the doctor tell you to go for a walk? No. But I thought that, since I was feeling pretty well and all. You expect me to believe that? You're shaking. Come on, let's get you back to bed. The nurse ushered Takuya into the elevator and escorted him back to his room. He was actually quite exhausted, so he quietly got back into bed. Nurse? Takuya called out to her as she was leaving. Yes? Suzune, Miss Endo, I mean. She's got a bad heart, doesn't she? Did she tell you that? For whatever reason, the head nurse seemed quite shocked that Suzune had shared this information. Yeah. What is she sick with? Something very serious. That's why you ought to leave her alone. But she's going to get better, right? I think the whole point she's trying to tell you is no. Takuya regretted the question the instant he asked it. The nurse's grim expression was answer enough. A sweet and cheerful girl like that had an incurable illness? For a while, Takuya couldn't even believe it. After the nurse had left, he stared at the closed door in a daze. It keeps saying save, but there's no checkpoints here, so I don't really know why. From that day on, Takuya kept up his vigilant watch in the courtyard, sneaking out of his room whenever he caught sight of Suzune. Bit by bit, the two of them began talking more. Sometimes she'd come out 2 days in a row, and sometimes he wouldn't see her for nearly a week at a time. Other times he would wander the hospital corridors in search of her room, only to be intercepted and sent back to his own room by the head nurse. Suzune was quite popular, most especially the old men, and young children of the hospital all seemed devoted to her. Their faces lighting up whenever she was around. She was kind enough to listen to all their grumbling and trifling conversations. Takuya was equal parts impressed and baffled by her ability to relate to them. I could never put up with that sort of thing. More than anything, though, her popularity was frustrating. He would have had much more time alone with her if all these people weren't always around. I mean, that's a really selfish way of thinking about, everything, but okay. He felt like he was the last in a long line of supplicants, waiting for her to grace him with a few moments of her time. But after she learned about Takuya's condition, perhaps out of some strange form of camaraderie, Suzune seemed to develop more of an interest in him. Wilson's disease, also known as, oh boy, hepatolenticular degeneration, a congenital abnormality of the liver cells, in which the cell's ability to eliminate excess copper from the body is impaired, leading to copper accumulation in the liver, basal ganglia, corneas, and kidney. Okay, so every part of that sounds bad, but I feel like I've seen pictures before of people with Wilson's disease and they have like a copper ring in their eye. And visually that sounds cool. But also, clearly it's a congenital abnormality. Bad. The disease can cause difficulties with movement and neurological problems, and often leads to further complications such as acute hepatitis and Crohn's of the liver. Or no. Okay, yeah, I can't open the time chart. Cirrhosis, I think. I've never heard of it. Is it serious? When I turn copper from the outside in. That also sounds painful, but Suzune's concerns seemed entirely genuine. For a brief moment, Takuya was almost happy about his rare and grave condition. But he couldn't say that, of course, and so he just nodded. Yeah, if you look— oh, there you go. If you look, you can see that my eyes have turned kind of brown. Takuya pointed at one of his eyes to indicate the pale brown ring in his cornea. There you go. Abnormal buildup of copper can cause brownish rings to appear along the edges of the cornea. These are known as Kaiser-Fleischer rings. It's something you're born with, where copper builds up inside your body. I get really tired super easily, and when the doctors checked me out, it turned out I had hepatitis caused by Wilson's disease. My liver was already seriously damaged, and the only thing that'll fix it is a transplant. That's why I'm in here. But finding a compatible donor has been hard, so they're both in here with a failing organ, waiting for a transplant. I guess we're in the same boat. You need a transplant too, Suzune? Yeah, I'm still waiting. I have what's called dilated cardiomyopathy. Myopathy? That's close. A condition where structural change in heart muscle cells causes the ventricle walls to become thin and distended. Every part of that sounds painful and unpleasant. This decreases heart function, and as the condition progresses, it can lead to heart failure, arrhythmia, and other issues. I feel like once you've already hit heart failure and arrhythmia, other issues are the least of the worries. Victims of the disease have a high probability of sudden death at a young age. At present, a heart transplant is the only cure for this disease. They've tried other forms of treatment, like limiting food and water intake for long periods, putting in an implanted defibrillator, and other things. Excuse me. A device implanted within the body that delivers an electrical shock to a heart that has gone into cardiac arrest due to arrhythmia, caused by ventricular fibrillation, or ventricular tachycardia. Ooh, thanks game. These implants are an effective defense against cardiac arrest, but when triggered, they can also cause intense pain in some patients due to the electrical energy involved. Yeah. Of course it's gonna hurt. Better than dying, but it sounds really, really unpleasant. I feel like your heart stopping is painful, and I feel like shocking it back to not stopping is also painful. But it looks like a transplant is the only real solution. Yeah, they buried this electrical conductor battery device right on top of my heart, and when my heart stops, it auto-shocks me back to life. No part of that sounds pleasant. Dilated cardiomyopathy? Defibrillator? What are those? Takuya didn't understand all the vocabulary, but it sounded like her condition was even worse than his own. Yeah. But the biggest problem, Suzune continued, is that there just aren't a lot of heart donors in Japan. And moreover... Abruptly she fell silent. A look of loneliness crossed her face. Then she turned back to Takuya with a reassuring smile. You'll find a match soon, Takuya. Everything will be fine. And you'll find one too, Suzune. Isn't that right? Takuya felt like something was caught in his throat. It was hard to get the words out. Yeah. I'm really lucky. Suzune hesitated before continuing. But even then, I doubt I'll be able to get the surgery. Her tone was so matter-of-fact. Why not? Takuya asked. My family doesn't have much money, so we can't afford to get surgery overseas. But it's alright. I don't really like the idea of being saved by getting some poor brain-dead person's heart. I mean, that's what it comes down to, you know. Unless someone else dies, I can't be saved. If I had to think of some family out there grieving over their loss, I wouldn't be able to be happy, even if it did mean I got better. Battery powered with extra steps. Not technically wrong. Takuya had never thought about that. Just imagining part of some stranger's body getting put inside his own was more than scary enough. Still, if you had to choose between that and death, well, it wasn't even a contest. But if you don't get a transplant, then everybody dies. That's just how it is. For some of us, it just happens earlier than for others. You can't just give up like that, Takuya cried. I won't survive unless I get someone's liver. But if I'm lucky enough to actually get one, I'll be happy about it. The doctor told me that people only give their organs on death because they want to. They want to save lives. Suzune appeared flustered. I'm sorry. I know that's the way I should be thinking about it. I'm sure that things will go well for you, Takuya, and that they'll find a donor for you. Then you shouldn't hesitate to get that surgery. By getting better, you'll be honoring the dead, in a way. But... She let out a sigh. That's not going to happen for me. Why not? My blood type is really unique. I don't think a compatible donor is ever going to turn up. A unique blood type? Takuya stammered a little as he asked. You mean like Rh negative? Suzune shook her head. You've probably never heard of it. It's called Bombay. They say only a few dozen people have it in all of Japan. One of that handful of people would have to happen to go brain dead. Then they'd need to get that person here before their heart stopped. And then the surgery itself would need to go well enough. That's too many coincidences to hope for, you know? Takuya was too surprised to say anything at all. I'm not about to live what's left of my life expecting that I'll win the lottery like that, Suzune said. It's better to focus as best I can on what I can do. On what you can do? What do you mean? Also, hey Seventh, welcome to Depressing Hospital Times. How you doing tonight? Yeah, that's the thing, like, her dad was doing all that, but if he had succeeded, besides the game having a really garbage ending, she would have been miserable. She would have hated him forever. There are a lot of patients here, like you and me, who have been here for a very long time. Most of them are senior citizens whose families rarely, if ever, come to see them. And I kind of enjoy listening to older people talk. They've all got plenty of interesting stories to tell. But more importantly, it brings smiles to their faces, having someone who will listen to them. I didn't realize that there was a date for heckin' Labyrinth 2 in Japan. I know it's in Japan, but like, still, the game was popular enough to get a sequel, and we've already got Disgaea coming. Maybe they'll do a double whammy, be like, we got 2 games. Like, I don't know when or anything, but like, it better get localized. That's still The fact that the sequel was being made and is almost done and out is already good news, because you can't localize a game that doesn't happen, so the game happening is already the very important first step. They tell me that, for a little while, it's like they're young again, like their pain has gone away. And seeing them smile, it makes me happy too. I want to make friends with as many people as possible, to learn about as many people as I can. Yeah, when they said it was delayed without a date, I was really worried. Now there's a date. Hell yeah. And like, even if somehow they make the game not that great of a story, I'll just be happy to have another Etrian-style game we can play that has a bigger party to add a ton of people to. Because Etrian games are still a blast, but can't really stream them, and the party size is really limited. I can only have a few people there. Whereas Labyrinth was like, let's just have like the entire stream all the time, whatever. Lose your legs again. That was the one thing I remember from you telling me before I got the game, was how many times you fell down holes and just shattered all your legs. I want to make friends with as many people as possible, to learn about as many people as I can. I don't have time to wallow in my own misfortune. Yeah, it's a very unique mechanic, and I like it. Takuya had assumed that, unlike himself, Suzune was as cheerful as she seemed to be, because she had hoped that she'd get better. He had been suffering through his own illness, and had thought day in and day out about how unlucky he was to have been born with it. Though he hated to admit it, he had long since discarded any hope that they'd find a donor and give him a successful transplant. Until he met Suzune, he'd lived every day cursing his fate. Their circumstances were so similar, so why were they so different? Suzune. Suzune was like an angel. Takuya felt like a miserable excuse for a human being. I have to spend a lot of time resting in bed, Suzune said, so I read a lot. Novels, essays, sometimes I try reading more difficult books on philosophy. I don't always understand a lot of it, but sometimes it just clicks, you know? And I read high school textbooks sometimes too. Well, except for math. I've given up on that. Takuya didn't like reading. When he was in his room, he just watched TV. A lot of the time, the only shows that were on were garbage, and he knew they were garbage while he was watching them, but there wasn't anything else that caught his interest. His motivation to study was non-existent, and he certainly didn't have any textbooks in his room. It wasn't like he was going to go out and live a full life, get a normal job, have a normal family. So what point was there in studying? That's what he had always thought, at least. Am I just wrong? Damn squeaky chair. What do we need for Labyrinth 2? Halfway through her dinner, Suzune found that she'd lost her appetite. Her mood was bleak. Oh, so we swapped characters too. I was trying to keep my hair out of my heckin' face. Why did I get so high and mighty with Takuya like that? A count of every leg break on the team? That would be good, yeah. All I ever do is pretend to be the person I wish I was. In reality, all I do is worry about just when this heart of mine is going to stop. I know it's normal to be afraid of dying. I practice smiling for my father and my brother. I don't want them to see my fear. I was happy and a little bit shocked when I realized that my fake smiles actually worked. My smiles might have been forced, but the ones I got from those old men and women, and all the little kids, those were real. Oh, hey, Suzune. Hello, young lady. Everyone's always so happy to see me. At some point, Suzune had realized that she was no longer able to tell if her own smile was fake or not. She wasn't lying when she said that the smiles on other people's faces brought her joy. But every now and then, the loneliness returned. She wished she could tell someone how scared she was, finally let herself shed the tears she'd held in for so long. But she'd never be able to do that to either her father or her brother. He didn't want them worrying about her any more than they already did. Her pulse grew erratic. Her intense heartbeat hammered like the hoofbeats of a horse at full gallop. A type of abnormal heartbeat known as a gallop rhythm, instead of the normal 2-beat lub-dub rhythm of a healthy heart, and consists of 3 beats resembling the sound of a galloping horse, an indication of potential heart failure. A sensation she'd known since childhood. Then she felt an intensely painful electrical shock course through her. Her implanted defibrillator had activated. Fun. Yeah, enjoy the lurk, 7th. After suffering through the pain for about 10 seconds, she felt her heartbeat stabilize. I'm alright. My heart is still pumping. But despite her relief, it was impossible not to think about her. I think those are backwards. Impossible not to think about how her time was drawing ever closer. If you're in pain, just say so. It's okay to admit it. With a start, Suzune looked up and saw a nurse in her doorway. She hadn't even noticed the door opening. Was it time to have her temperature taken again? She hurriedly put on the mask of a smile. Oh no, I'm okay. It's all calmed down now. Your illness isn't the problem. Hiding it is. If you need a little comfort, just ask. Suzune was at a loss for words. It was dark outside, and with the lights in her room turned off, she couldn't get a good look at the nurse's face. The woman was tall and slender and had a rather nice build. Was there a nurse like that on staff in this ward? She couldn't remember. What are you talking about? Suzune felt her smile warp as she struggled to conceal a sudden upwelling of sorrow. You're facing your condition like an adult, but from your father's perspective you're still his little girl. It's completely natural for your family to worry about you. This person knows who I am. Not sure how, but she knows everything. Suzune let her mask fall. She looked down at her hands, balled tightly into fists, and she let the tears come. I want to be a strong person, but I can't do it. Everyone tells me what a strong and cheerful girl I am, but it's all a lie. The words spilled out of her as her emotions came rushing to the surface. I'm afraid of dying. I'm afraid of getting surgery. I'm even afraid to go on living. What scares me more than anything is when night comes. I'm afraid every time I go to sleep that I might not wake up again. I thought that if I kept pretending I wasn't scared, that eventually I'd be able to fool myself. But that didn't happen. I'm the only one I can't fool. I think you're plenty strong. Huh? Everyone's afraid of death. That's why they try their hardest to look away from it. Why they try to forget during the day-to-day that it's coming. But you face it every day. Face it head on. You're a stronger girl than you think. Everyone else probably underestimates your strength. The nurse's voice was smooth and soft. Her words flowed over Suzune, washing away her darker emotions. That's why you shouldn't push yourself so hard. If you keep trying to face all your fears by yourself, then one day you might break. It's okay to let it out every now and then. Vent your frustrations. You're fighting so hard every day, there's nothing wrong with asking for a little help. The nurse sat down at the bed and began to gently stroke Suzune's hair. If you're ever afraid to go to sleep, call for me, anytime. I'm always here for you. I'll watch until you wake up in the morning. That should help, yes? I couldn't ask you that, is what Suzune had meant to say. But the comforting warmth that enveloped her stopped the words, carrying her gently towards sleep. It was a feeling she'd nearly forgotten, like something from very long ago. But from when, exactly? Was that her mother? Like, I don't remember what she looked like in the... Like, they showed her a few times, but I don't remember. When Suzune woke the next morning, the nurse was gone, but she did not despair. If she ever needed her, the nurse would be there for her again. Of that she was sure. Good morning, Masendo. The nurse who came to take her temperature was the usual one, not the one who'd been there in the night. Good morning. A natural smile came to Suzune's face. She felt deeply grateful that she'd gotten to live to see another day. The weather was nice, so after lunch Suzune headed out into the courtyard. More than anyone else, she hoped to run into Takuya. She'd understood his outlook on the world the moment she learned of his condition. Plus, it was kind of cute, seeing how hard he tried to hide the way he felt. The fondness she felt for him was like that of a younger brother. That's not what he feels towards her. At some point, she'd realized that they'd had a special bond. There was a sense of solidarity, knowing that they were both waiting on a transplant for an otherwise incurable disease. She wanted to say that the thing she told him the day before, that was just her searching for an ideal, something to live up to. She wasn't philosophical, she wasn't enlightened, she just wanted to be honest about how hard it was every day. Surely he would understand. But Suzune didn't see Takuya in the courtyard that afternoon. She made small talk with several other patients, like she usually did, then headed back to her room. Takuya didn't turn up the next day either, nor the day after that. Uh-oh. She would look up at his window from the courtyard, but she never saw him. Where was he? Had his condition taken a turn for the worse? Was he no longer well enough to go outside? Suzune had never been to the second floor, where his room was, but she knew the first floor well enough that she could guess the layout well enough to avoid getting lost. With that in mind, she decided to pay Takuya a visit. She went up to the second floor, walking slowly as she eyed the nameplates for the rooms along the courtyard side. There, right about where she expected it to be, she found it, Takuya Kasama. She'd been afraid that his nameplate had been removed. If it hadn't been there, that would have meant he'd been discharged. His room had been swapped for some reason. Or else... Nothing good, and Suzune was about to knock, or as Suzune was about to knock, even, a voice called out from behind her. Miss Endo? She turned around to see an unfamiliar nurse standing there. Perhaps she was in charge of the ward, or had seen Suzune walking around before, and that was how she knew her name. Yes? Suzune asked. Were you looking for Takuya? Yeah. I hadn't seen him in a while, so I was wondering. I'm sorry. Takuya wants to get out more than he does, but honestly, he's not in any shape to be moving around much. We're worried about infection as well, so we've limited his visitors. You probably shouldn't be wandering this far yourself. The nurse pointedly pulled the sliding door to Takuya's room closed. I could just see him real quick. No, the nurse snapped, then hurriedly cleared her throat and spoke more softly. Suspicious, nurse knows her name, but she doesn't know the nurse, and is acting weird. You wouldn't want his condition to get worse, would you? Suzune saw that she'd have to back down. She returned obediently to her own ward. But she had a hard time accepting the fact that she couldn't visit Takuya. And the fact that he's not at least at his window. Does that nurse have some kind of grudge against me? Not only does she know my name and know about my condition, she must also know that I've been talking with Takuya in the courtyard. Does she think I'm the reason his condition has gotten worse? Suzune knew that his health wasn't as good as he might have claimed, and she felt a little guilty that she hadn't been as considerate as she perhaps should have. After that, whenever Suzune went out for a walk, she made a point of swinging by Takuya's room, asking several nurses and doctors about his condition. They would always say he was doing fine, but staunchly refused to let her see him. Is he maybe already... Suzune couldn't help but imagine the worst. Is everyone just working together to keep me in the dark? Why would they do that? Do they think I'm his girlfriend and they're trying to keep me from the shock of finding out or something? No, that was ridiculous. Besides, this was a hospital. Suzune knew full well that they didn't have the time to put on some weird piece of theater after a patient had passed away. There must be some other reason. Some reason they don't want us to see each other. Willing to do whatever she could to discover that reason, Suzune tried changing the time of day that she stopped by Takuya's room. Maybe if nobody was watching, she'd be able to sneak a peek inside. If someone happened to be coming or going, she might even be able to get a look at his face. But Suzune never imagined the way she'd finally wind up seeing him again. On that day, she had been hiding behind one of the heated meal carts used for delivering dinner to the patients. She followed the orderlies as they brought the cart towards Takuya's room. They'd have to open his door in order to bring his tray inside. But before she reached his room, the door swung forcefully open, and a bed was swiftly pushed from inside. Doctors and nurses, their face pale, ushered it along, pushing the meal cart out of the way as they reached down the corridor. Takuya lay on the bed, his eyes closed, his face severely jaundiced. He didn't appear to be conscious. "Takuya!" Suzune cried out without thinking. One of the nurses glared back at her briefly before disappearing from sight with the others as they brought the bed into the elevator. "Takuya?" As Suzune stood there dumbstruck, her eyes strayed to the open door into his room. With shaky footsteps, she went inside. Takuya's room was largely the same as her own. There was a locker by the entrance, along with a small refrigerator. Over by the window was a TV stand. Next to that was a bookshelf packed with books. She picked up one of the books atop the bedside table. It was a beginner's primer on such topics as organ transplantation and brain death. On the bookshelf were other, more difficult-looking medical volumes intended for experts. Takuya's been studying up on diseases? I wonder if he's been holed up in here reading these the whole time. Maybe he'd overdone it studying. That would be a cruel irony. Suzune prayed to a god she'd never before believed in. Please, save him. Happy story here. Takuya blearily opened his eyes. This wasn't his room. An artificial respirator was fitted over his nose and mouth, and several tubes ran between his body and a hemofiltration machine. Vinyl curtains enclosed the area around his bed. A machine that regulates electrolytes and removes waste products from the blood in lieu of the kidneys, used to assist patients with decreased kidney function. Purifying the blood too quickly can, however, result in a collapse of the body's electrolyte balance, leading to headaches or muscle spasms. He was in an ICU, intensive care unit, a clinical facility that allows for focused around-the-clock treatment and monitoring for patients with severe and life-threatening illnesses or injuries. Also used for patients whose conditions might potentially become critical, or for patients requiring an extreme degree of care following surgery. Several people bustled frantically about. The last thing Takuya remembered was being in his room. Is that minutes ago, or has it been days? Excuse me. Could someone... Takuya paused. His voice didn't even sound like his own. "Doctor, he's regained consciousness," a nurse announced. At that, the face of his attending physician, Dr. Seki, suddenly came into view. He was wearing an operating mask. "Takuya," the doctor said, "please hang in there." "Takuya?" Sounded like his father and mother were there on the other side of the curtain. If the staff had called them here, did that mean he was on the brink? "What day is it?" What was that? The respirator was making Takuya's voice hard to understand. He struggled to form the words. "Today. What day is it? It's April 5th. April 5th. There's still over 3 weeks to go until his 15th birthday. So we all know his birthday is clearly going to be 4/28, right? We can all just know and accept that. What's going on? It's too late to save me, isn't it? You mustn't say things like that. How much longer do I have? Will I make it another month? Seiki lowered his eyes. No guarantees, then. Please, Doctor, I just need 3 more weeks. Please do whatever you can to let me live for just 3 more weeks. I can't die yet. Dr. Seiki nodded, a thoughtful look on his face. Is there something you can do? Please. I don't want to die yet. I haven't done anything yet. Please, just a little more time. There's a life-prolonging procedure, highly experimental. Aren't they always highly experimental? However, I don't care about the risks. I just don't want to die yet. Well, if the risk is death, there's something called an artificial liver system. Oh boy, okay. Although a liver dialysis machine can be thought of as a sort of artificial liver, an actual liver carries out much more complicated metabolic reactions that dialysis cannot completely replace. For this reason, biohybrid liver replacement combining mechanical functions with active live liver cells from pigs are currently under research, with clinical tests having been conducted in the United States. The hope is that these bio-artificial devices will someday be able to keep those with failed livers alive until the necessary transplants are available. Ooh. Yeah, sheer force of will is a strong thing. Clinical trials have only just been concluded in Japan. It's a device that uses cells harvested from pigs. If things go well, rather than just 3 weeks, it might be possible to keep you alive until a donor turns up. The mention of pig cells was startling, but right now was no time to be squeamish. Please, Doctor, if there's even the slightest chance, it's worth it. These old age have died on their birthdays or January 1st, yeah. After Takuya was rushed to the ICU, Suzune went to check up on him every day, without regard for her own well-being. Day after day she visited, only to be told that he was still in an unconscious state. 3 weeks went by without a change. Then one morning, while passing by the kitchenette, on her way to the ICU, Suzune overheard some nurses talking. Did you hear? Takuya's regained consciousness. For better or for worse, poor kid. He keeps saying that he doesn't want to die yet, but he wants to live. He's only, what, 14? The young nurse's voice was tearful. Suzune felt a new kind of pain in her chest. He's running out of time for a transplant, and with that rare blood type. Rare blood type? Yeah, he never said what his blood type was. Suzune stopped in her— oh god. Yeah, oh no. Suzune stopped in her tracks, then rushed back to the kitchenette. Excuse me, what do you mean by rare blood type? The moment she saw Suzune, the nurse clammed up and tried to slip away. So that's what they all know. That's why. That's why everyone knows them is trying to keep them apart. Because they're like, somebody's gonna just sacrifice themselves. Please, hold on. That rare blood type. Is it Bombay? Suzune shouted. The nurses exchanged an awkward look with one another, and though neither of them said anything, Suzune knew that she was right. So, only a handful of people in Japan have this blood type. 3 of them in Shibuya. Takuya, to be fair, Shibuya is a concentrated area, I guess. Takuya had Bombay blood too. This was a hospital with high-end facilities that drew patients with incurable diseases from all over the country. So, okay, so maybe it wasn't— there you go. So maybe it wasn't such a remarkable coincidence. Transfusions for rare blood types such as Bombay were difficult to come by at regional hospitals. There were some advantages to having another such patient on hand nearby. Excuse me. But there were downsides too. Now the inexplicable behavior of the doctors and nurses made sense. They'd been trying to keep Suzune and Takuya from each discovering that the other had Bombay blood. It was unsettling enough to know that someone else with a blood type only possessed by a few dozen other people in all of Japan was hospitalized right alongside you. But when both of you were waiting for compatible donors in the hope of receiving a transplant, that was enough to upset anyone's composure. How must Takuya have felt when she told him that she had Bombay blood as well? If I die, she could live. Something like that must have crossed his mind. The fact that he'd started studying up about transplants again must mean he'd been thinking of something. What in the world was he thinking? If our positions were reversed, what would I have done? Suzune knew what she had to do. She headed for the ICU. She got there just as Dr. Saike, who was her own attending physician as well, emerged from inside. Miss Endo. The doctor stopped, surprised. Suzune drew herself upright and looked him right in the eye. Doctor, please use my liver for a transplant for Takuya. You can perform a living liver transplant, right? If you need to take half or even 2/3 of it, then please, by all means. For a moment, Dr. Seike looked as if he'd taken a punch to the face, but soon his expression resolved into a sad smile. You heard about the blood. Suzune nodded. I'm afraid that won't be possible. A living liver transplant is dangerous enough for a healthy person. Someone in your condition would never be able to tolerate the surgery. You can do it when my time comes, then, Suzune said. Regardless, Miss Endo, I can't carry out a living liver transplant between complete strangers. The law doesn't allow it. If the two of you got married, that would be a different story, but that's not possible either. Neither you nor Takuya can legally marry until you're 18. Married? Suzune had never even thought about such a thing. But if marrying Takuya would make the surgery possible, she'd do whatever it took. But apparently the law wasn't going to allow for that either. Well, I don't care what the law says. If I'm the only person who can save Takuya, then please take my liver. Doctor, please. I'm afraid what you're asking simply can't be done. You need to focus on your own condition and on getting better yourself. Neither of them can focus on getting better. They need a transplant. I'm beyond saving anyway, though, right? So please, I'm begging you. Takuya needs... As Suzune grabbed hold of the doctor's gown, pleading, a sharp pain shot through her chest. The galloping heartbeat was back. No, her pulse had never been quite this erratic before. Her mouth opened and closed reflexively. She was unable to breathe. Doctor? Please. An electrical shock went through her from the implanted defibrillator. The world faded as she slowly collapsed to the floor. Happy fun time story here. We got happiness abounds. Suzune had a long dream. Her father was in that dream. And though Suzune couldn't clearly remember her face, her late mother was there too, trying desperately to save her. And then there was Takuya. Takuya was smiling. A genuine smile. A smile that Suzune had never seen. Takuya's mouth was moving, but no sound came out. She tried to read his lips. Thank you. Thank you? Wait, what do you mean? Suzune cried out as she woke. She was staring up at a familiar ceiling. She was back in her own room. She spotted her older brother Aki sleeping in a folding chair nearby. We had a jump in Canada's story too, right? But apparently we can't jump there. Aki. The word creaked raspily from her throat. Huh? Suzune? You awake? Her brother rose from the chair. Man, now I gotta know what day it is. Is this before or after? And excitedly scampered out of the room. You're awake, bye! I mean, obviously to get more people. Wearing different clothes. Well, yeah, so it's clearly not the day, but it could be the day before, the day after, a week before, a week after. With a start, Susanne realized something was attached to her chest. She felt a peculiar sensation. 6 distinct tingles, all running from the center to the left side of her chest. Electrocardiograph electrodes. She followed the leads that ran from her chest to the monitor by her pillow, and was surprised to see the waveform moving across it. Yeah, it was her pulse, and amazingly, the rhythm was solid and strong. Nothing like the one she'd been familiar with for so long. So it's after. So this is definitely after. No, that's not my pulse. As soon as Zanae realized what she was seeing, she understood instinctively. This heart, it was Takuya's. Like, you knew it was going to end with one of them, but like... it's just... Aki returned with Dr. Seike, who proceeded to check the various monitoring devices by the bed, nodding and smiling with satisfaction. Aki returned with Dr. Seike, who had proceeded to check the various monitoring devices but... Wait. I'm blind, it's fine. It's good to see you awake again. For now, there don't appear to be any signs of rejection. So I was distracted because I was looking at the calendar, so it's definitely at least not past April in the game. It's gotta be, like, 29, 30. It's gotta be. It's gotta be, like, the day after. Right? Because this would have come up if this happened before the game. So it can't be on the 28th. It's got, and the calendar's still on 4. Maybe they just didn't change the calendar. Yeah, knowing the person and having been ready to give up your life for them only to find out it didn't work that way is like... Of course, we'll need to be vigilant, but this new heart seems to be a good match for you, Miss Endo. It's Takuya's, isn't it? Please tell me it's not. I told you I wanted him to have my liver. Takuya was dead. If she had his heart now, there was no way he was still alive. Dr. Seike looked away, and for a while he said nothing. When it comes to who your donor is, I'm not at liberty to say anything. You understand that, right? So instead, let me tell you how things went for Takuya in the end. You two were friends. Boyfriend and girlfriend, maybe? Either way, you have a right to know about his passing. Takuya's passing. Susanne had already imagined as much, but now she couldn't hold back the tears. Takuya is dead. He's dead. Dr. Seike went on. Takuya begged me to help keep him alive just a little bit longer. His family agreed, and so we proceeded with an artificial liver system, a treatment that's relatively untested here in Japan. For a while, his symptoms abated, and he even regained consciousness. The doctor took a breath. But it was already too late. He lapsed into a coma due to acute liver failure, and then developed complications, a condition known as DIC, which causes clotting in the blood vessels throughout the body. Initially, we thought he might have hepatic encephalopathy, but a CT scan of the head revealed cerebral edema. He was declared brain dead 2 days after his birthday. We don't know what day his birthday was, but let's be honest, it's 4/28. He was 15 years old. Dr. Seike gave her a significant look. Susanne wondered what that implied. I guess you have to be 15 to consent to, like, an organ donor. I'm gonna assume. I don't know what the age is for that in the States. I want to say 16, because I know you can put it on a driver's license. Maybe it's 18? I'm not actually sure. He said there was something he absolutely needed to do. On his birthday, he called for his family and told them, I want to register as an organ donor. Huh? Here in Japan, individuals under 15 years of age aren't allowed to give consent for organ donation. If Takuya had died before he turned 15, and his heart, all of his organs rather, It's just not exclusively his heart. I can't tell you who the donor is, but they ask you. Okay, weird then, but okay. Could not have been provided to a patient in need, and that was something he wished for very much. Takuya had been reading up and studying, and he learned that he needed to survive until he turned 15. Yeah, I know, Sasafune. Also, hello, welcome to Viperland in the chat. How you doing tonight? Also sadness, you know. And he asked for life-prolonging measures to be taken, all so that he could register as a donor in order to give me his heart. And I don't know who it was, but apparently a surgeon was able to perform a transplant for a patient believed to be an ideal match for his heart. Evidently, this patient was also comatose and in an extremely dire state. But from what I hear, the surgery seems to have gone quite well. Of course, I do not know the identity of the patient either. Suzune strained to move her right hand, setting it atop her chest. Underneath the layers of the bandages, she could feel a heartbeat, steady and strong. Takuya's heart is beating within me. He left a letter for you. I haven't looked at what's inside, so I'm not sure what it says. Dr. Seike set a white envelope down on the bedside table, then left the room. Aki, read it to me. She didn't feel strong enough to read it herself, but she didn't want to wait. You sure? Aki asked. Alright then. Let's see. Aki opened the envelope, slid the letter out, and began to read. Suzune. If you're reading this letter, that means everything has gone well. Congratulations. And also, thank you. Ever since I became sick, no, even before then, I hadn't known what it was like to be happy. I hated the world. I went through my whole life just thinking about how pointless my existence was. An excuse for a human being with no reason to live. What did it matter if I was... Okay. I hated that I was going to die so young. I guess I'll read faster, but at the same time, it seemed pointless to try to live any longer. And then I met you. I fell in love with you. I love you, Suzune. With all of my heart. Literally now, with you in this world, I wanted to go on living a little longer, because the living would actually have some meaning. When I found out that we had the same blood, I was shocked. It had to be fate, right? Neither of us was going to be able to survive on our own, but if one of us sacrificed ourselves for the other one could go on living. And I wouldn't be able to bear any world without you in it, Suzune. The answer was clear. I want you to have my heart, Suzune. That's the best possible thing for the both of us. You're probably a little sad, knowing that I'm gone now. I'll be happy if that's the case, but will you please be happy for me, now that my heart is inside you? That would make me even happier. Happier than anything. Thank you so much for taking my heart. It'll beat for you as hard as it can. I hope. I wish we could have talked more. If it had only been possible, I would have liked to have gone somewhere with you. But it's okay. This way I get to be with you forever. I won't be lonely anymore. Goodbye. I'm looking forward to our future together. Takuya Kazama. This game can squeeze into an hour, yo. Aki's voice grew gradually more hoarse as he read. By the end, he was struggling not to weep. Damn it. Did it really have to be like this? Suzune was more astounded than she was sad. Of course, she was upset that Takuya had died, and she was glad that she was going to live. But above all, she was amazed by the fact that Takuya had cared for her as much as he had. That he'd fought so hard to prolong his own life just to save hers. That moved her more deeply than anything she'd ever known. Maybe a young crush couldn't be called real love, but that didn't make it any less pure. Thank you. Goodbye. I'm looking forward to our future together. Oh man. Well, that should get us a trophy, I suppose. Game doesn't pull any punches, yo. A trophy, but at what cost? Yeah. Oh man. Don't worry, we'll have to go through the beginning again because I missed the thing. So I gotta go from the beginning to the point where he asks her name because I missed it. Like, they couldn't have just been like, she gets a happy ending after all this. They had to be like, she gets a happy ending, so Aki and his family are happy as well. But it's gotta be a large amount of suffering first. So we're gonna make sure you get that suffering first. Mr. Bossman Hatama, I know. Yeah, an extreme but. Yeah. Oh. More credits than I expected. That's a whole lot of freedom knives? What? Dell? There must have been like a computer shown somewhere. The Suit Company? This is a shocking amount of credits. Yeah, that's just for this, right? It should be. Because we saw the credits for the main game, and they were longer. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Well... Spike Chunsoft. There's that one. Yeah... To be fair, so some of the endings for like Steins Gate, especially Steins Gate 0, get pretty down in the dumps. So we gotta go through just a smidge of the early bit again. I'm just gonna speed through it as best I can. So we can just hit down, right? So I can go through text. Time chart. But I need to be on that screen, not just the text, so we just gotta mash the button until we go through it. Because I missed it and I feel like a dunce. It was so early on and I missed it. We just gotta get back to that one spot. At least it's early. I'd feel really bad if I missed it and it was late and we'd have to do this for the whole thing. Hopefully we can go through this way for when we need to find the... Because both her story and Canada's story have a jump. And they're both late into the story. I'm hoping we just scroll through the text and get to those, because those don't require you to be on the same image. This requires you to be on the image, so kind of unavoidable. But the other one shouldn't matter. We should be able to just get to the thing. Yeah, the anime went more generic action. I mean, to be fair, the whole tragic story with the girl who couldn't really talk, it got dark, but it didn't get this tricky. That's it. Yeah, it got dark. It didn't quite get sad. Or instead of shedding tears, it just got dark instead. Yep. Seeing this, I'm just holding X. That's all I can do. Also see why my phone's been buzzing. Okay. Yep, so he goes down, talks to her. It's the one where it's just asking her name. That's all we had to do. And I knew it. I looked that up ahead of time so I wouldn't miss it. And I missed it. That was my one goal for looking up ahead of time, was be like, no, I want to make sure to not miss it if it's in a side thing. Missed it anyway. I have no idea what side story it's going to bring us to. I didn't look at that, I just saw the screen it has to be on. Like, I have no idea what side story it's going to bring us to. I hope it's something happy. I'm not overly hopeful. It's going to be one of the nurses, is my guess. Because we've already seen Takuya's side, we've seen Suzune's side. It's either the little kid asking for candy, or it's going to be a nurse. Right? Right? That's the only thing I can think of. Because it would have to be something related to this story, maybe? It could link back to the main game, but I don't know. I really don't know. Alright. Made eye contact, yay. Well, since this is our last of this set of side stories, this should get us a second trophy. This is the one. Also, hey Sora, how's it going tonight? Welcome to Viperland Chat. Unable to bear the sweltering heat, I stopped at a cafe on the outskirts of town for a little breather. It seems I've stuck my nose into something more dangerous than I'd thought. It's been a month since that incident that threw Shibuya into chaos. And even now, here in the Middle East, I've still got the scoops coming my way. I got wind of an incident aboard a long-distance railway a few years back. Seems it involved an armed group that styles itself the Serpent. By looking into that, I might finally be able to learn the identity of a certain person of interest. The lead is a risky one, though. I'll march into it too blithely, and I might wind up getting killed. But what can I do? There are people back in Japan counting on me. The exclusive scoop I landed on that attempted bioterrorist attack caused 4-star general gossip to sell like wildfire, and Heaven Publishing made a spectacular comeback. Excuse me, but even so, Mr. Toyama and Chiaki are still going to need my help. Not a person I expected to be going over to from this story. What do I do? Do I play it safe and head back home? No. How could they depend on a man who turned tail and ran when the big scoop was right in front of him, right in front of his nose? Yeah, drastic tone change, and for my own part, my interest in getting to the bottom of this far surpasses my fear for my own safety. I guess I've got to take this as far as I can, until I can find out who Alpharad really is. What's the real person like underneath that veil of mystery? Good news! He does find out, but I don't think in this section, in the anime. My story isn't over until I have what I need. Yeah, he does eventually find out. Special episode added to bonus content. Oh, that's it? Okay. Literally, that's just it. That was all. Okay. Cool, another trophy. So now I gotta look up this other one, because the remaining 3 are tougher to find by a good amount. And I don't think I would find them without a guide. Like, these ones, there were 1 or 2 where I was like, I'm having trouble finding it, and I just cheesed it by looking up a guide. The other ones, I'm, like, having briefly, like, perused them, it's like, I'd never find that. Give me a second to find the right trophy. Oh, literally what we just read. So we could go back and rewatch it if I wanted, but that was added. Okay. After seeing all 85 bad ends, we did that last time. Reaching the true end, completing both Suzune and Canada stories. We've done all that. It may also be necessary to do both jumps in the true end epilogue. Near the end of Canada's story, there'll be a jump back to Maria and Suzune's story. There'll be a jump back to Aki. But I don't know how to jump back to those. I mean, the game itself was already big, but all this side stuff? Okay, so theoretically, can I go to her jump from this? Because that matters. If I can do it this way, that makes getting to the jumps easy peasy. However, we may have to fix the timeline, and I hadn't thought about that. We have time, but I may have to go through and fix the timeline real quick after all those bad ends. Which I'm not loving, but it might have to happen. Okay, that's waking up the ICU. I don't want to blow past it too far. Should be there. Cool. We can do it this way, but we can't make the jump. And jumps. It's gonna see, because the guy doesn't go into any further. He jumps. Okay. How do you get the jumps? Well, that doesn't help. You have to reach a true end first, which you did. That doesn't have an answer. Well, I think I might have to fix the timeline real quick. Thankfully, I believe this has a straight up... Yep. Straight up just, these are the options you need. So I can at least do that. So we should be able to fix it real fast, I hope. I hope it's a quick fix. Hadn't really planned on this, but we had to... If I had known, I would have fixed it off camera. Alright. Oh, the storyline is so broken. Oh, the timeline is so busted. Oh my goodness, yeah. This is how busted the storyline is. Oh. Oh, her jump was to Suzune, wasn't it? But... Well... There's just a straight list for all the right... Yeah, the Aki jump almost certainly needs it. That's the problem. We broke it doing the bad ends, but we needed to break it to do the bad ends. Now we gotta fix it. Alright. Give me a second. It's just gonna load up the earlier parts of the guide. We'll just do it the quick way. Not bad ends, not bad ends. Bad ends are fine. Okay. Yeah, I did. Okay, Kano 1005, either option doesn't matter. Aki 1030, option B. Good. Kano 1030, option A. Fix that. Big bad. I don't know what you're talking about, everything's fine. Option A. The thing is, once we repair it, yeah, it starts to fill itself back out. So that does get us past the first chapter already, don't have to worry about that. 1105, Aki... So where does it bad end us now? That's hard to do. I'm just gonna go down the list and make sure everything's fine. This is still quicker than you might think. Option B or C. Cool, that's fine. 1115, option B. Aha, that's wait, no, that was right. Never mind. Totally right. 40, either option. 50, option A. Since we can go straight to each one, it's easy enough to just hit it, go back to the timeline, and like it's all gonna start slowly fixing itself as it goes. To be continued. The only one not to be continued is Osawa. 1110, either option. Osawa's on either option either way. Alright, so somebody else has messed him up. How can everyone else get to be continued besides him? How? Oh, okay. Kano's path, the only option that matters is 1110. Gotta be option B, he's good. Minorikawa, 1130. First choice option A, second choice option B. Oh yeah, that probably broke it. Alright. Yep, that brings us down further. Okay. See, we didn't actually break up that much. It's fixing quicker than I expected. Aki's only one that matters is 1240. Didn't make it that far. Wait, wrong character. 1240, option A. Cool. Kano, 1210. Option B, so he's good. Morikawa, 1215. Option B. Oh yeah, we gotta not bother them. This is actually fixing way quicker than I thought. I still would have done it off camera if I had known. Yeah, isn't it just? It's pretty crazy. Alright, finish the article. 25, option B, good. 35. What? So somebody else isn't getting there yet. Osawa doesn't matter until 12:30. Option B. The in-game playtime is a little off, but we'll check the next time we're on the main menu. But I do have a bad habit of just leaving games on sometimes. Like after stream, I'll leave it up and I'll just go make food if we're turning it off. So like, bad habit. This is Osawa, option B. 35. Let's get another option at 35. Alright, we'll try Tama. 15, option B. There we go. Cool. It's got to be like 100 hours though, honestly. It's got to be in that range. There's content in this heckin' game, yo. 35, he gets B, good. And look at that, we brought us back down again. It's only a few choices in each timeline that are keeping us back. Aki's path. Has to be option A. That's the only one in Aki's path that matters for that timeline. It's option A. Kano's path, 1330. Didn't make it that far. Something else is stopping it. Morikawa, 1305. Option A. What lesson did you learn, Jude? That's fall damage. It's one of those lessons you gotta learn, but you only need to learn it once. 1340, option B. Nope, still a bad end. So we get Kano at least. Yeah, it apparently came out like a few hours ago. Osawa, 1335, A or C. A, okay. Tama's path. Option A. Oh, this is definitely holding back a lot of people. That pendant changes a lot of fates. In a darn good way. I liked most of the bad ends that weren't just the last hour, different ways for things to explode. There were a lot of creative bad ends in this game, like overall. Good? Not quite. 1305, B or C. Should be good. Not C. 1340, B. B. Alright, back to Osawa, 1335, we're good. Morikawa, 40. B. Kano's still locked out. The hell did I do to Kano? Oh, it's this one. Okay, cool. The pendant, yeah, rock, paper, scissors, there was good stuff in there. And the ones that we got throughout the game. I still think the sentient universe traveling cat suit might be my favorite of the weirder endings, but any of the happy Tama endings are also very good. Anytime where Tama ends up happy, it's like, yes, this is acceptable, please continue this. Labyrinth, the Labyrinth is canon, that's not a bad end. That's canonical. I like to think that's just how he sees the world. Next, we're on Aki. Oh, where does it stop us here? Does it? It does. Only 2 people don't make it. Alright. It's better to just go down the list, right? I'll spend more time searching. 1405. First choice, any option. Second choice. Okay, fine. 1420s is the only one that matters. It's gotta be B. Kano. 1420's got to be C. Everyone was very confused. Yeah, that's just... He literally had to go from the taxi into the door, and that's how he saw it. Minorikawa doesn't matter, apparently. Osawa... Only thing that matters is 1430. It's gotta be on B. 1400 is A. And 1430 is A. Cool. Continuing on. Ooh, Aki's gotta be straight B's all the way down. Every answer for Aki has to be B. Oh, that's not a B. Pleasantly surprised at how easy it is to fix things, at least. And now that we know we can fast forward through those things to find the jumps, that takes a lot of pressure off. I'm glad I learned about that beforehand. Really glad I learned about that beforehand, because that would have sucked to have to go through the entirety of Canada again just to get to that one jump. That would really suck. Alright. Oh, we're clear. That was all it took to fix everything. We're down to 1600. It's super late, yeah. Alright, Aki is all B's again. Except 1625 apparently doesn't matter, but the other two gotta be B's. Just think, there are 3 more side stories, and then Platinum. That's it. 3 more side stories. A few jumps, whatever. Second choice has also gotta be B. Well, between the main story that took us a long time, the side stuff, this is what, our 5th stream of side content? Plus 2 Wednesday night streams of the anime. This game's... we put in time to this game. And it's been a hell of a ride the whole time. It's been overwhelmingly good, definitely at parts sad, but still good nonetheless. Because I don't have to fix it, dang it, not enough. But Aki's done everything he can. 1620 and Kano. Gotta be option A and then A again. Oh no, it was option A, I was right. .5, A again, so he's good. Minorikawa. 1605, either. 1605 option A. Good. 1620, it doesn't matter what we pick, even if it sends you to the labyrinth. Osawa, option B at 1610. There we go. Yeah, honestly, especially for a game that's all writing. Not to say you can't write a good story that holds you for 100 hours. And admittedly, a bunch of that time is like trying options, hitting bad ends and stuff. But still. All for something I originally was like, it'll be goofy, it's like a visual novel, but it's a live action. You don't see that around very often. And all of a sudden we were like, oh no, we're invested. Does that fix everything? Yes, it does. Yeah, it was literally just going to be like a goofy, tee, look, it's live action, but it's a visual novel. Isn't that silly? How little we knew. Aki doesn't matter. Kano only matters at 1710. Where they both have to be... No, actually, Kano doesn't matter. Minorikawa has to be A or C at 1710. I'll switch that to A. As it goes further down, it's getting easier to fix. Which is weird. It was... There's so many times where we screwed things up, but like... Now it's easy to just fix them. Which I'm happy about. That should clear us out. 1800. Alright, now I gotta scroll further down. Nope, not the bad ends. They sort this list weird. Okay. Funny note. Nothing matters in Aki's path for 1800, apparently. Apparently for Aki's path, it doesn't matter. We might have to re-change some to get to the true ending instead of the regular ending, but we'll deal with that. So Kano's path does a lot. A lot of Kano stuff matters. 1810, option A. That's already bad. Yeah, for sure there was like one decision for each of them, and I don't remember if we changed those for the bad ends, so I'm just going to end up going through. 1810, second choice, option B. Yeah, this is going to take a little fixing, but since I got to, it's just a list of like the choices that matter. It's easy. Option B. 1840, option B. Good. Already lost my place. 1905, option B. I guess we don't get an option yet. And something else has got to get fixed. Minorikawa, 1805, A, B, or D. I know that's the labyrinth one, right? Alright. It was still straight up canon, but I'm changing it just to make sure things work out right. But like, it's still canon. We know that. We're still gonna hit a bad end. Oh no, that hits his end. Okay, so Minorikawa's done there. Sawa's already done. Teteno. 1855's got to be B. Doesn't get an option, which means Jack. 1820's got to be C. There we go. .45 is B. Good. Back to Teteno again. We need 55B. Good. 1905B. I should have taken a look at the time when I started fixing this, but this has really been fairly smooth. We messed up the timeline for bad ends, but this has been shockingly smooth. Okay, so we still got a bad end here. Which means it's got to be Kano's path. 1905, option B. Option B, then any option. 1910, option A. There we go. .15, option A. Okay. So what's the one for the true end again, just to make sure we got everything going. True ending, Aki's 1900. We're almost there. Option C, we got Kano's path 1905, second choice. Gotta be option A. We're good. Tenno's 1910. Option B. That one kind of split up a bit. And Jack's path 1920. Option C. Okay. That should bring us... Yeah, so we get that choice there, which has to be option A, which we did. So that's They said Battalion on October 1st? Yeah, that's Thursday. Yes. But every time this comes around, I make the same mistake and go, I plan for Thursday, but it actually is 8 p.m. our time. That's why. I'm pretty sure it's actually going to be Wednesday. Because every single time this happens, I go, cool, cool, yeah, I'm going to plan for that day, that night's stream. And then it's always happens during D&D for me, 100% of the time. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same, but I'm assuming 8 p.m. Wednesday. But I could be wrong. Okay, so that's true end, right? Let's go back to title screen. Yeah, it updates Japan time. I might have to do double days, that's entirely possible. Right, where's the other one? Okay. Also, hello Potions, welcome to Viperland in the chat. Yeah, according to this, 88 hours and 50 minutes. Alright, so let's go to Canada's story and just hold it down until we find the thing. 15 hours ahead. Yeah, that seems to be it. But are there? Alright, no worries. We get to a point where we can hit down, I'm hitting it. Okay, do both jumps in the true end epilogue. Near the end of Canada's story, there'll be a jump. Both jumps to the true end epilogue. Were there jumps there? Well, we'll find this one first. Oh, I'm totally excited for it. Because I know the music's going to be good, I know the monster's going to look badass, I know the arena's going to be really cool. Oh, we gotta go so far through this. I'm hoping it's not possible to overshoot it. Yeah, I can backtrack a little, at least. See, I remember where the Suzune one is. I know this is towards the end, but beyond that, I don't remember. And hers was way longer. Hers was like 4 times longer, right? Because it took us about an hour to do Suzune. It took us over 4 to do hers. So towards the end of a 4-hour thing. Okay, still going. I feel like we gotta be getting closer. I haven't seen a red text yet. We're at the same backstory bit. Oh no, it's further than this. They're under the train now. Okay. It's definitely after stuff started hitting the fan on the train. Like, for sure. Yeah, hers was a 4-hour setup to an anime that probably took us, like, a little over 4 hours to watch. That's a lot. It took us a little longer than that, but still. There's a jump. So worried I'm gonna miss it. I hope it's not in the blue text. I don't think it was, though. But I haven't been checking those. Definitely the most exciting part of the stream. Oh, we gotta be getting close. He's going over for the air brake after, you know, as he's about to be dead. It's definitely something from Canada's point of view when we got the jump, though. Alright, so it's got to be coming up. Or we blew past it, but I don't think so. I do get the feeling it was around by now. Okay. There it is. Okay. We have a jump. One jump done. The other jump we can find way quicker. Abruptly, Maria's cell phone rang in Stanley's pocket. I mean, this is already stuff we knew, right? Yeah, we already knew this bit, we just made the jump to it. I guess you just have to make the jumps. Oh no. It's saying it's not. Wonder who's calling. Maria picked up. Yeah, there was a jump there. I remember it from last time, which is, I just couldn't, I knew it was towards the end, but I couldn't remember exactly where. She could hardly believe it when she heard the voice on the line. Yeah, so there's something different that's keeping it from unlocking. Also, hello Chuck, welcome to Viperland in the chat. How you doing tonight? Burlesque yet girlish, with a daredevil ring, a voice that had been burned into her mind since the day she met its owner. Now it can't be. She had been sure she'd never hear that voice again. In an instant, Maria's face was damp with tears of joy. Thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness. Canada. And go back. I assume the going back is just in case you were doing it live. They didn't want you to have to do the whole thing over again. I assume. Alright, so that should be it for this. There shouldn't be another jump. That should be everything. Okay. Back to title. We're getting there. I promise. Yeah, the hair color change was odd. The anime was good. I enjoyed it as an anime. It made interesting decisions. And I'd argue the characters are very different than, you know... Oh yeah, I can't do time chart, but I'm not looking for time chart. I'm looking for this. Yeah, it was a really subpar sequel to this game, if that was their goal. But it was a fine anime. I enjoyed the anime. Yeah, Osawa and Minorikawa really kept their looks. So did Bossman. Yeah, every male character looked the same. Every female character got changed. 100% of them. Mostly drastically. At least visually. No, not Chiaki. I probably would have recognized Chiaki. She's the only... in like her 1 second of footage. But still. Yeah, Suicide Dad was on point. Taxi Man was on point. Boss Man was on point for, again, his 1 second of footage. You changed with Canada herself? You say that. But her in-game representation... Well, her in-game representation isn't too far off, I guess. We only see her briefly anyway. She was basically not in the game. Yeah, that's fair. It wasn't too off. Okay, I see you. We're getting there. Oh, you also missed a boatload of sadness potions, so... Yay. The entire Suzune story was depression. So you missed that. Got us a trophy, but it was depression. Why can't I jump to Aki? Why can't I jump to Aki? Alright. Weird, evil, small woman to hot. Yeah, that was her transformation. That much is very accurate. The heck? Oh, because we had to keep going past this. Okay. Okay. Noted. Don't make the jump. I can do that. None of this seems different. Like, this seems the same to me. Right? Yeah. It's the day after. And that hits end, right? This way we're just gonna... Oh no. I'm just gonna hold the button and see it through. But it says that nothing's different now. Yeah, her motives in the game, once everything is said and done, it's like, okay, I get it. Yeah, they turned her from crazy, but well, not crazy, very cold and calculating and determined terrorist to Hisoka. In the anime. And like, yeah. I enjoyed the anime as a standalone product. Absolutely did. Was a little frustrated with it as a sequel to this game. As a standalone, stand by it. Enjoyed it. Had a good time. Alright, is there a jump around here? It's either a jump around here or a jump to here. Oh, so we're gonna jump to some point where, like, he's gonna find out his sister's had a transplant. There's a donor. I guess. Yep, just going through this. I'm assuming we're fine to do it now, but like, while we're here, why not just hold the button, right? Oh, I would watch an Aki anime, but way more than that, I'd watch a Boss Man anime. I feel like his character is the most anime character in this game. Bar none. Give him like a slapstick comedy, give him the, basically like the Mr. Magoo treatment. Like, I'd watch 50 episodes of that. 100% likely. Just him coming up with schemes and them all failing miserably. I would watch that. Every week I'd tune in for that. I think Aki and Kana would make great anime protags. I love them both as characters. But if we're talking who would make the best anime character, Boss Man. Done. In my opinion. But like, there's a lot of good options here. So I'm pretty sure we're in the clear. We gotta be in the clear. It's at the... still there. That's true. I feel like that would actually be robbing it a bit, honestly, yeah. But Suzune will be fine. With a giant asterisk of like, there is much sadness involved, but she'll be fine. Yes. Live action Boss Man show? Yep. Would watch the hell out of that. Except I'm pretty sure he's probably had enough time as a live action in front of the camera. Well, clearly he came back as an actor, and, you know, all's well. Okay, so from there it's gotta be fine, right? Oh crud, I can't back up from here. I've gone too far. I've gone too far. We committed too much. Whoopsie daisy. Yeah, I guess now we get the music. Sorry. I didn't try to skip it last time, so I didn't know you couldn't skip it. Except this song has been such a trigger for like traumatic events during this story. The amount of times we see or hear this song and then something terrible happens. Like, I'm always down for watching the credits, but we've seen them already. I don't think closing the game will do it. I don't know if it's saved. We're here, I guess. It's fine. Watch us get copyright flagged for the music. No, we didn't get it the first time, so should be fine. There! Even made it to YouTube. There. Yeah, that's what happens every time. You hear her sing that chorus and it's just C4. Everything's C4. Lyrics by Aya Kamiki. So Aya is a real performer. It's not somebody they made up for this. Aya Kamiki is an actual performer who performs this song. Okay. I absolutely would have been like, oh, they made up a person. Yep. Aya Kamiki, Japanese singer. Started in 2003, yeah. I just googled as well. I was like, okay, now I'm curious. She's the vocalist in the rock band Ouroboros and the rock duo Sonic Lovers Reckless with the Love Bites guitarist Miyako. Kamiki speaks modest Chinese, and because of this she has a notable fan base in China. Which also explains... I don't know. But there you go. Has been putting out albums... Her last released album was 2012. Oh no, studio albums, hold on. 2011. Called, appropriately, The Final Journey. The side characters are real people? Oh, that's gotta be interesting. Well, there you go. She's a... It's not a character they made up for this game. Real singer. Cool. I mean, obviously it's a real person singing this, but, like, it's the actual person. This way. I really enjoy the random, like, meta things. Specifically, Kiwami 2's had them. Or was it Kiwami 1 where, like, you could watch a video and it's like, that's just the plot of the previous game. And then the one I just hit, which is very clearly the... People said they didn't like Yakuza 3, so we're gonna make a quest about the Yakuza Daytime movie series, where they don't like the third entry into it, even though it was really a decent one. The fans didn't like it. By themselves instead of characters. Oh, those are real... Okay. Oh, damn it, I wasn't looking for a jump point. I mean, from here we can probably... Yeah, we can just leave from here. If it doesn't work, we can go back to that exact spot. I can go to there. Oh. Learn something new every day. The model left the stars and cards. Oh. No, I didn't want... I wanted to go back. Do we have to see it through to the end? We'll probably just do time chart and go from there, right? There you go. Time chart. Let's see, ancient see this one? I had no idea. Cool, though. Like, definitely cool little bits of trivia, but I had no clue. Just gotta get back to the character select game. Let me go back to character select. I guess there was no character select for epilogue, so that's... Okay, there we go. Now we'll try the Aki one again. If it doesn't work, I'll be at least a little confused. Mind you, this is not the only step to get the one of the 3 things we need. This is the first part of a few steps. But this is the only part that's not explained in detail, so... This might be the hardest part, just because it's just like, do it. And I was like, okay, cool, but... How? Where? Why? Alright, there's Aki. Cool, so we just had to make sure that was all set. Heck yeah. We might have to watch those credits again. Uh-oh. We might have to watch the credits again. I'll see if I can stop it before then. Oh, as soon as it says it's back to the end, we should be fine. Oh, no, no, back there. Don't, no, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. Hold on. Okay, so that's cleared out. Cool. Okay. Think we got it. Think we got it. I'm gonna hit the wrong button every time right now. Every single time we hitting the wrong button. It's fine. So he went to go see Susanne. Things are good. Can't go to time chart, but it's saved. Okay. So that's literally the setup. Now that we've done that, a few new jumps will appear inside the blue text tips at certain points in the story. Each of these will take you to a chapter of a strange but amusing side story. You will need to read through them in order. Now we've got a few chapters of a side story to go to, which unlocked because we did all this. Starting at Aki, and since we have the full timetable unlocked, that's cool. Yeah, all the other stuff before this, probably could have figured out. Maybe not the true ending. I'll give it, the true ending might have given me a bit of a loop. But everything besides the true ending, we could have figured out on our own. This, looking at even just the synopsis, it's like, nah, I'd never get this. Alright, Aki, 1530. Because, like, once I'd done all this, I'd never go back to blue text in the story. 1530, Aki. Read through the scene until after the van explodes. Canada warns Aki about Alfred. Don't use blank to... Oh, man. You can't use the down button to read ahead. You have to go to it. When you see the word shirt in blue text, open the tips to access the new jump. So I can't skip ahead for these. They were like, no, 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 no. Alright, so the van's gonna explode. And then we need to look for shirt. Yeah, we gotta see the van blow up again. I guess I could have gone a little further if I had read all that. I was just assuming I could skip ahead. But, like, go to the right time, find a new blue word you couldn't find before, don't skip ahead to get there, have done all the previous stuff, like, ugh. Some of these would be, oh hey, look, the van again. That's the van. Van explodes and Canada warns Aki about Alpharad. So we're looking for a shirt in blue letters. I'm gonna go a little slower because I don't want to miss it. You know, because I've been missing a lot of them. Both tonight and in general. Alright, there's Canada. Well. That's a body, what happened here? Yeah, Canada. Hurry out of here. Still can't believe Potion's called that so early. Like, so early. Alpharad. Taking your clairvoyance. Alright. Oh, this is new, right? I don't recall this. About your shirt. There is another face to this city. When you casually gaze at the sights, amidst all of the normal, everyday things, there are stories that nobody has told. Let this tale of one brave fellow fighting in secret now be a secret no longer. The ultimate jump. The ultimate jump. Huff, huff, huff. Labored breathing came from a shrub along the road where the minivan had exploded. This damage, it's way worse than I thought. The muttering voice was punctuated by further halting breaths. There was an evil token, and the speaker had a name. Yep, mysterious keep out. Alright. Also, you have to do these in order. If I tried to do any of the other ones... Alright. Maria's Path 1600. This answered 0 questions. Yeah, I know. To be fair, I knew what the scenario was titled, which is Mean Clean, because I looked up the trophies, but I know nothing else about it. Literally, I just know that's the title of it. I walk counter to the throng of people heading towards the scene of the explosion. The explosion happened in Shibuya Oh, we read this one before, but... Oh, a number of curious onlookers had flocked to the scene, but it turns out there are some other individuals there as well. Things more hammered out now? Heck yeah. Welcome back. 4 p.m. What the heck? What's going on? Cried Big Joe, gazing up at the rising plume of black smoke. A crowd of emergency workers and curious onlookers milled about the scene of the explosion, but none noticed the empty can standing by the roadside. Hey, Flaps! Big Joe turned to the dumbstruck juice box sitting beside him. What do you think? I don't know. I mean, how am I supposed to know? Flaps gave a shrug. Though there is one thing I do know for sure. His expression turned grim. We've lost a lot of our friends. It wasn't just humans who had been caught up in the explosion. A bag of recyclables near the minivan had also been caught in the blast, and all the trash inside it had been burned to cinders. Like Flaps and Big Joe, the other trash had been waiting to be brought to the recycling plant to start a new life.
Oh my god!
Damn it! And right when we were all on the cusp of being reborn. Big Joe bit his lip in frustration. Cardbert, Illumimom, old Scraps, I won't forget you guys. Tears of coffee streamed from Big Joe's eyes. Big Joe, Flaps mumbled, take a look at this. There's a small green mass stuck to the surface of the road. What do you think it is? They're SCPs. The thing was sticky, and it gave off a foul stench. It pulsed rhythmically, as if it were alive. I'll tell you what this is, Big Joe said, his mouth twisting up. It's gross. The green mass wriggled and writhed for a while, but eventually went stiff, as if it had stopped breathing. And then it vanished with a slurp. Damn it, why me? Why? A rustling came from the shrub near where Big Joe and Flaps were standing. That occupunk didn't even see me in there. A plastic bottle hopped into view, huffing and cursing. Hey, it's Mean Clean! The coffee can and juice box cried out as one. I never read the comic, but yeah, I know the movie. I'm so tired. What the heck is he doing here? It's like seeing a ghost, Big Joe. Dude, Big Joe said to the newcomer, they say that I retired ages ago? Mean Clean finished with a grimace. Yeah, that was the plan. Water burbled from a sizable hole in his midsection. Dude, look. Big Joe pointed to Mean Clean's belly. Yeah, so I went from a big gulp to a double gulp. Big deal. But the sweat was beading on Mean Clean's forehead. Ah, good grief, just look at me all messed up. And whatever moron's responsible for this, I'm gonna find him and kick his ass, Mean Clean grumbled. He stomped around with his bow-legged gait glaring about him as he went. Whoa, he seems really pissed off. He did always have a short temper, Flap said, even back when he was the hero of Shibuya. That another keep out? Nope, once. Mean Clean had indeed been the hero of Shibuya. It had all started about 10 years before. A strange religious group had appeared on the streets, preaching while brandishing vegetables in their hands. What? They seemed harmless enough at first, until their adherents started going on rampages, violently scattering vegetables all over town. Violently scattering vegetables. The discarded vegetables quickly rotted, suffusing the whole area with the stench of garbage. The Great Compost Incident, they called it. The police ramped up their supervision of Shibuya, but because unlawful dumping of garbage was only punishable with a modest fine under Japanese law, there was no way to rein in the believers' environmental terrorism. Day by day, Shibuya descended into filth. That was when a young Mean Clean stepped up. As a potential article of trash himself, he could not stand to see his city sullied so, and he was determined to do whatever was needed to protect the town. Sending up a wild battle cry, he went about accosting the vegetable tossers one by one, picking up their strewn garbage and disposing of it properly. The thing is, there are 3 secret stories. This is the first one. It's in a few chapters, but Mean Clean is the first of 3, and we have to finish this one to unlock the other 2. Yeah, I don't know how somebody found this. I can't tell you because I don't know. This glorious struggle went on for 8 years. By the time it was done, Mean Clean was tattered and worn, a shadow of his former self. His friends Big Joe and Flaps, included, gathered around him as he prepared to meet his end. "Hang in there, Mean Clean," cried Flaps. "You can make it." "Yeah, you can't die, dude." Their earnest pleas brought a faint smile to Mean Clean's face, and with a weak voice he whispered his last request. "Throw me away in the bin for reusable waste. I want to be recycled when I go." Big Joe and his other friends did as he had asked. But the fact was that 90% of plastic bottles were burned without being recycled. Even when they did get recycled, many were made into other products such as clothing, clear plastic filing folders, or vinyl rope. The odds of Mean Clean coming back as another plastic bottle were immeasurably low. Kind of thing could be lost for years and randomly found. Yeah, nobody would believe it. Absolutely. After collection, Mean Clean was pulverized, processed, and born anew as the T-shirt. Were we paying attention to his shirt? Did his shirt actually lose Mean Clean at that point in the story? Because at that point, I wasn't paying attention. Did they actually do this? He was then passed on from person to person until he met Aki at a second-hand clothing shop. When Aki hit the streets of Shibuya, Mean Clean was saddened and dismayed. My phone hotspot because this is too important to not miss. I'm so sorry, Robin. He had shown the vegetable cult the light. That's a line right there. But still, Shibuya was not beautiful. If anything, it was marred by even more trash than in the old days. Turned out that the religious sect was not his only enemy. Many of the people of Shibuya were themselves responsible for dirtying their once fair city. Shibuya was overwhelmed with trash. The city was rotting. Like, was this something they set up like the Meow? Like, oh my goodness, game. On its own, Mean Clean could do nothing. Mean Clean died, was sent to the recycling plant, and was reborn as the Shirt. That's what happened. There's not a lot of steps there, but it's a lot to take in. Yeah, basically. Each time he gazed out from Aki's t-shirt, he was awash with frustration at his own impotence. This is a game. This is a serious game. Flap slapped an adhesive bandage across Mean Clean's abdomen. So, how to get your old form back? The juice box asked. Mean Clean rubbed at his midsection. It happened during the explosion. The detonation had propelled a fragment of the minivan's windshield right towards Aki's chest. Making a split-second decision, Mean Clean slipped free of the t-shirt and took the glass shrapnel in Aki's place. Aki escaped injury without knowing what saved him, and left the scene and Mean Clean behind. See, now I'm going to have to go back and look for sequences after that point and see if his shirt is missing. I'm going to be so... Oh. The signs are all there. However you look at it, this wasn't just an accident. Someone must have planted a bomb or something. Mean Clean's face showed a mix of pain and anger. Half of his mineral water had spilt out. The water was effectively Mean Clean's blood. Having lost so much in one fell swoop, he was practically dead already. It was only sheer force of will that kept him on his feet. His stand. But the person who planted the bomb isn't the issue, Mean Clean continued. The one I'm after is whoever plotted to kill me and Aki. Laps and Big Joe exchanged glances. Dude, somebody's trying to kill you? What do you mean? Asked Flaps. Mean Clean's face grew grimmer. There was a second explosion. Someone was after us too. Or us, no question about it. Neither Big Joe nor Flaps had any idea what Mean Clean was talking about. Had the shock of the explosion messed up their friend's head? But Mean Clean went on, his expression entirely serious. Way early in the game, they draw attention to it. Like, when Aki is first setting out, before he even meets up with people, we get attention drawn to his shirt. And they reference the character on it as Mean Clean. So we do clearly see that earlier in the story. I don't have an emote to describe my feelings. Yeah, apparently the change happened when the van exploded, according to this. But they do actually draw attention and name the character on his shirt very early. Like, Chapter 1, when it's only Aki and Kano. Before Aki even gets to the square, he's stopped by some thugs, or no, there are two thugs harassing a girl. He helps her out. They recognize him, but they also call by name the character on his shirt. That shard of glass wasn't going for me and Aki, not at first. It's going one way, then its trajectory changed mid-flight and it came right at us. That couldn't have been caused by the initial explosion. Something else exploded, just an instant later, somewhere off to the side. Big Joe listened intently, his expression vacant. He couldn't make any sense of it all. That doesn't necessarily mean somebody was gunning for you, Flap said. I mean, couldn't it have just been a coincidence? No way, said Mean Clean. Not a chance. Who did it then? Asked Big Joe. And why? That I do not know. Flap threw up his hands in defeat. Still, said Big Joe, now that you mention it, I did feel something back then, I'm sure of it. No, someone, with murder on his mind. He peered around uneasily. For the record, we are on the second part of this. Wait, what? 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 No. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts of this. This is part 2. Whee! Just then, someone came lurching by. It was an empty sake jar. Well, empty of sake, anyhow. He'd since been planted with a bonsai. The others recognized him at once. The old fellow's name was Hooch. He was a slovenly drunkard, but also a walking encyclopedia of Shibuya, widely trusted by the trash of the city. Is this what drugs are like? Yeah, live-action drama, Been drinking since noon again, old man. Big Joe rolled his eyes. Nah, lately I've been sticking to sweet potatoes, sochu? Hooch informed him, his excuse completely failing to serve its intended purpose. It's done wonders for my bowels. His toothless guffaws reeked of booze. Look, this is no laughing matter. Somebody's trying to kill Mean Clean and... Ah, dude, you stink. Big Joe wrinkled his nose at the brand new stench. You just let one rip, didn't you, old man? My apologies. Like I said, wonders. As he chortled, Hooch let out another long and noisy olfactory assault. It's been a long time, old man, Mean Clean said. The smile disappeared from Hooch's face as his eyes slowly focused on the water bottle. Mean Clean, I thought you went into retirement. Yeah, I'd seen too much trouble. Why are you back then? To look for more. Hooch's expression stiffened. There's something you gotta hear, Mean Clean. Listen well. But Hooch didn't get a chance to finish. With a steamy, hissing sound, a long, slender something came reaching down from above. It was a green tentacle. Yup, and yes, last night at about 1 a.m. we swapped to Grand Blue for the last hour. What in the what? The tendril wrapped itself around Hooch's body. Also, hey Mike, welcome to Viperland in the chat. Old man! And before Mean Clean could move in for the rescue, Hooch was lofted into the air. It looks just like that green thing we saw earlier. Flap shouted and pointed. Hooch was receding into the distance. There was nothing Mean Clean and the others could do. You will all die. You will become trash. You who circle back around, who bear the seal. The voice seemed to come out of nowhere, and it vanished just as quickly. Only the scent of the gas Hooch had passed lingered behind. The heck? What was that? It all happened so fast. Hooch had been snatched away before Mean Clean and the others could even react. You will all die. You will become trash. That's what the mysterious voice had said. Given the murderous vibes Big Joe had felt at the scene of the explosion, and the threatening voice, there was only one logical conclusion. There's no doubt about it, Mean Clean said. Someone out there is trying to kill me. Yeah, the recyclable triangle. Clearly. No trying to kill us. He stared fixedly up into the sky. Afraid that they'd be attacked by the green thing again, Mean Clean and his companions decided to relocate. They needed a place with good visibility so they couldn't be taken unawares. Someplace open, with a view in all directions, someplace like the roof of a building. That's going to be the keep out? This game, yo. Okay, Kano 1640. Should see South Hill in blue text immediately. Should also have to blow my nose real quick. Definitely worth reiterating. All this says I've got over here is just how to get to these bits. I didn't know what was coming up from this. Yeah, Alright. When Kano showed up here, Mean, Clean, and his pals were on the roof as well. We aren't even playing Labyrinth. Like, just look at this screen. Look at this screen. Okay. Witness it. 15 minutes had passed since Hooch was carried off with the green thing. The trio had relocated to a rooftop where they continued to discuss their predicament. Detective Tateno, what is the meaning of this? Bring me Hitomi Osawa and I'll let this girl go. Why? What do you need Hitomi for? This isn't like you. It's so weird. The Detective Tateno, who I know. Man, said Big Joe. This place sure is noisy. Not far away, two men wearing suits were having a big argument. Oh, I'm sorry. Flaps dipped his head in apology. I couldn't find any place else that was safe. Well, never mind, Big Joe said. Let's get back to the discussion. Right, Flaps replied. So what I don't understand is what that voice said. Don't you think it's strange that it told us we would become trash? Big Joe nodded. It is strange. I mean, we're already trash. Telling us we're going to be trash doesn't make sense. Exactly. I know why someone's after you, though, dude, Big Joe told Mean Clean. Think about it. You're the hero of Shibuya. Bad guys always go after folks who are on the side of justice. But Mean Clean remained silent, lost in thought. You who circle back around, who bear the seal. I can't believe they're playing this straight, too. You who circle back around, who bear the seal. What did that mean? Those phrases had to refer to them somehow. Big Joe, Flaps, Hooch, Mean Clean. What did the four of them have in common? Please, stop this! Hurry up, bring Hitomi to me. Can't you at least tell me what's going on? Go now, or so help me I'll shoot. The back and forth between the two humans seemed to be approaching some sort of climax. Damn it, those guys are so loud. The tank, would you call it a tiger drop? And I was just on the verge of a flash of insight. Mean Clean gritted his teeth and glared at the men. Do I jump back? It'll be a jump back to Kano, but you can ignore it. Okay. Hey, is that it? Big Joe cried out, pointing to... If the blimp is somehow the crux of all this. Big Joe cried out, pointing at an elliptical object in the sky. Is that the thing that attacked Hooch? Mean Clean and Flaps looked where he was pointing. But right away, they shook their heads and slumped their shoulders in disappointment. Nah, Flaps said, that's just a blimp. A blimp? A big flying advertisement. Basically, Flaps explained proudly. They float through the skies above the city, promoting things. Big Joe went red in the face. Redder? Huh, I knew that. Don't act all superior just because you know stuff. I wasn't acting superior. Shut up, you wimp. Wimp? Flaps explained. You know, there are some things it's just not nice to say. What's with you? Acting all high and mighty, you're just paper. Pulp. I'm made of pulp, technically speaking. As the two argued, Mean Clean's mind wandered. You who bear the seal. You who bear the seal. What in the world did it mean? I don't know. There's something stamped on both their asses, though. He felt like he was overlooking something important. A mark. A seal. What did it mean? Bah, huffed Big Joe. Don't try and act like you're anything more than a dumb kid. Hey, you know, Big Joe, that might do you some good to learn a little more about the world if you want to get by. So he started glowing. The two were still at it, harder than ever now. Alright then, smarty pants, Big Joe pouted. How was that there blimp able to fly? Heh, Flaps chuckled, a grin spreading across his face. Allow me to explain. That blimp is filled with a large volume of gas, specifically a non-flammable gas called helium. A buoyant gas that makes up 0.0005% of the Earth's atmosphere, used to provide lift in balloons, blimps, and dirigibles. Hydrogen gas is more buoyant, but helium is far safer because it's not flammable. Some have attributed the 1937 Hindenburg disaster to the fact that American-sourced helium was rejected in favor of the hydrogen gas used in the doomed craft. It's less dense than air, thus causing the blimp to float. Huh? I've got a clue what you're saying. Basically, it's filled with gas that's lighter than air. It's all this gas stuff you're going on about. Telling me you don't know what gas is? Laps blinked in disbelief. Helium, ethylene, a gaseous hydrocarbon composed of two carbon atoms joined by a double bond. Used as a raw material for plastic, polyethylene, and the like. Lightweight and colorless, it gives off a sweet smell and is flammable. Propane, a colorless flammable gas, heavier than air. One of the components in natural gas. It is also one product of the petroleum refining process. It's often mixed with propylene and butane and sold as LP, liquid petroleum gas. Those are all gases that exist here on Earth. I should have tramp stamps. No problem. They can be lighter than air or flammable, and they're used for all kinds of things. Big Joe appeared to be understanding less and less, his face twisted into a grimace. Okay, Flap said with mock patience. I'll make it easy for you. You know what farts are, right? Well, they're gas too. Methane gas and a colorless, odorless gas used as fuel for consumer and municipal applications. In addition to being found in natural gas deposits underground, it is also a byproduct of metabolic fermentation by methane-producing microorganisms, livestock, and other sources. Widely recognized as a greenhouse gas, contributing to the global climate change, methane's increased presence in the Earth's atmosphere has been deemed a major problem by researchers. Please stop saying those words. Yeah. Well, why didn't you say that in the first place? Methane is a colorless, transparent gas that's contained within farts, and it happens to be very flammable. So if you were to flick on a lighter close to one of Hooch's farts, Flap stopped abruptly with a sudden gasp of realization. Aha! Yeah, that's it! What's it? What's what? Asked the coffee can. Mean Clean, Big Joe, I figured it out! Where's this coming from all of a sudden? Mean Clean asked, rather taken aback. He hadn't been listening to the conversation at all. Let's go back to the scene of the crime. I think I've solved the mystery of the second explosion. If it's Hooch's farts, I'm done. Okay. That's always past 1640. Read through the scene to see Osama facing the camera with Kachiwara behind him. At one point there will be a choice, but it doesn't matter which option, so we can go from here. You'll see the word mystery in blue text. Open the tip to access the new jump. Watch the scene till you get a keep out. Ah, pretty honey. Top tier. We're looking for mystery. I can't believe we found out who Pretty Honey was. And I can't believe who Pretty Honey is. This game is so full of, like, if you just went through the main story, if you looked at a guide and just went through the main story and never found any bad ends or anything, you'd miss so much of this game. It would still be a great ride, honestly. But you'd miss so much. So many little things, so many earlier planted things like cat meows paying off somehow. Yeah, it was Angry Father, who is in the forum for Aya fans over 40, but masquerades as a 19-year-old girl. Still looking for mystery. don't want to skip it because we can't really go back. Oh, didn't even notice that. Cool. Good, fast clicking. They are out all over now, though. It's getting crazy. Where's Mystery gonna fall into this? I hope I didn't have to start from the very beginning. Just to know... Okay, 1640. Oh, it skips way ahead. So if we hit that skip, then we know we've missed it. Aha! Mystery! Something difficult or impossible to explain. Oh, we saw that all, but never mind that. Right now, these guys have headed for the scene of the minivan bombing, trying to solve the mystery of the second explosion. They very clearly had a good time and a weird sense of humor when they're like, nah, we're going to do some extra locked content in this. Mystery of the second explosion had been solved. At Flaps' suggestion, the three friends had returned to the site of the minivan blast. Right, of course. Flaps scratched his chin and nodded as he eyed the scene. Look, just explain what's going on here, Mean Clean demanded. Not having a guide? Yeah, and no big words, added Big Joe. Flaps was too obviously enjoying his little detective act. Clearly people found it. I would never. Take a look right here, if you would. Flaps pointed to the drainage ditch at the edge of the street. Big Joe peered into it. Ah, that reeks. It smelled of rotten tobacco. What you're smelling is hydrogen sulfide, a gaseous compound formed of sulfur and hydrogen. It produces an unpleasant smell that irritates the mucous membranes of the eyes and the nose. It is harmful to humans, breathing in too much can kill you, and has been designated a specified offensive odor substance under Japanese law. Prolonged inhalation can damage the olfactory senses with a risk of permanent loss of smell. Produced and released alongside methane by food waste. What about it? This place doesn't usually smell anywhere near this bad, Flaps explained, but for some reason today it's really foul, which means... You're still following me, right? The others just stood staring at him blankly. Right, anyway, along with a large volume of hydrogen sulfide, there's also a large volume of methane gas rising up from this ditch. So what happened, you see, is that the flammable methane from here was ignited by flames from the minivan explosion, triggering a second explosion. The others just stood there staring at him, even more blankly. Now you're probably wondering how it is that I realized all of this. Hold on a minute, Mean Clean grumbled. If what you say is true, then it was just a coincidence that piece of windshield glass came flying at Miyazaki. Yes, Flap said meekly, that's right. But I tell you, I could sense it. Someone was trying to kill me. If this was just a coincidence, how do you explain that? Yeah, Big Joe chimed in. See, that was bugging me about all this too. You can't just go around saying stuff like that, Flaps. No, but I mean... Flaps' voice faltered. He didn't have a good answer for Mean Clean's question. For a while, the three of them stood in thought. Then Mean Clean broke the silence. So, this may sound ridiculous, but here's what I think, he began. We got Flaps' deduction and those murderous vibes I felt. We need to think of a way to make those two things fit together somehow. If the methane gas were capable of thought... It was an idea straight out of left field. Flaps and Big Joe were dumbstruck. So, you figured it out. It was the voice they'd heard before. This time it sounded very close by indeed. And yet they could see nobody else. I was the one who controlled the blast to send that glass shard hurtling towards you. But here you are, still alive. Where are you? Mean Clean shouted. You who circle back around, who bear the seal, you will become trash. The voice repeated its eerie mantra. Mean Clean over here, Flap shouted, pointing at the drainage ditch. Crescent-shaped eyes peered out from beneath the sewer grating. A small green mass was lurking there, wreathed in its own foul stench. From the way it wiggled slimily about, there was no doubt about it. This was the thing that had snatched up Hooch in its tendril. Where's Hooch? Mean Clean demanded. That doddering old fool, he made a fine meal for my prime mass. A moment later, something launched forward from the drainage ditch. It rolled to a stop in the pavement. Only then did they realize that it was Hooch, or what was left of him. Old man, what happened to you? Most of his jar was gone. The roots of the plant that had been potted within him now barely managed to cling to his face, holding it together. He was on death's door. Mean Clean stared daggers at the green thing. Why are you after me? No, after us. You ask yourself why you eat before each and every meal, the thing demanded. Its tone dismissive. Eating what one wishes to eat is only natural. I'm way more sad for the bonsai tree, because those things take a lot of time and effort to grow. Way more sad for that. Those who circle back around, those who bear the seal, they are little more than a nuisance, as far as our plan is concerned. Plan? To cover this world in garbage, to consume more and more, producing ever more waste. We will forge a world where the words reduce, reuse, recycle are heard no more. Even you so-called reusables will be discarded. You will become trash in the truest sense. You will become one with us. Be thankful. The green thing snickered and flashed a set of jagged teeth. Resist all you like. You are doomed to fail. Excuse me. As long as rotten food waste exists, we will proliferate and grow. The green thing slowly began to emerge from the sewer drain. My prime mass is steadily expanding, devouring the trash strewn about the city. Eventually, we shall engulf all of Shibuya, enveloping it in a death and decay. Big Joe and Flaps drew in closer to me and Clean. He spread his arms wide to shield them. Colorless blood dribbled from his hastily bandaged injury. Mwahaha, the round thing laughed. You think you can fight me in your condition? You can barely stand. The thing was right. Once he had lost all of his water, Mean Clean would die. If you tried to fight this monstrosity now, he would never survive. You three will make a tasty snack. Time to die! And with that, the green thing rushed towards Mean Clean and his friends. It's a ninja turtle. Flaps shoot. Suddenly, with a sound like a watermelon splitting, the green mass disintegrated into tiny bits. In the blink of an eye, the bits had all dispersed into the air. Whoa, Big Joe blurted. What the heck just happened? His voice was trembling. He looked around in bewilderment. Juice. Juice, is that you? Mean Clean called out. Ooh. On the rooftop of the building across the way, something glimmered in the afternoon light. They saw a bottle body clad in a trench coat. Thick eyebrows jutted above a pair of sunglasses. Mean Clean knew the figure well. Long ago, he had aided in the fight against the vegetable cult. Juice Malo. The legendary sniper. Juice's sunglasses flashed in the light once more, then he whirled around and vanished from sight. Juice Malo. The beer bottle sniper. Old man! Mean Clean and the others rushed over to Hooch's fallen form on the pavement. Hey, hang in there! Mean Clean, is that you? Hooch's voice was dry and raspy. I'm done for. Don't say that. It's alright. I know my body better than anyone. They gazed at him solemnly. It was remarkable that he had lived this long, given his grievous injuries. Mean Clean, there's something I need to tell you. Hooch struggled to get the words out. Mean Clean nodded. I've been wondering what you were going to say earlier. Hooch nodded weakly. I don't understand how. Now listen well. Mean Clean, you... Mean Clean held his breath. There's a hole in your stomach. Yeah. Which means there's a hole in your stomach. I know that. And? No. I just mean, what I'm trying to say is, you have a hole in your stomach. If the puppet keep out right here, okay. A long silence fell. Hooch quietly breathed his last. Okay, in the aftermath of Hooch's passing, Mean Clean and the others decided that they had to take action. If the prime mass of the green monstrosity was growing by eating trash around the city, they'd just have to gather up as much trash as possible. That should halt the thing's growth, reducing the threat it posed to everyone. They would need a safe place to dispose of the trash once it collected it, but they didn't have time to think that far ahead now, in true Aki fashion. At the moment, they just needed to pick up as much trash as they could. Yoyogi, Harajuku, Ebisu, Daikanyama, Shoto. Then, in the midst of their trash-collecting expedition, Big Joe suddenly halted in his tracks. "Dude, this place is a cafe, right?" he cried out in excitement, staring at the nearby building. I mean, I agree. I knew the title of this chapter, but I didn't know what it was going to entail. There's something I've always wanted to do at a cafe. What do you want about now? Flaps let out a wary sigh. I don't think this is really the time. Correct. Oh, shut up, you. I was talking to my dude here. Big Joe turned to Mean Clean, his eyes pleading. Come on, dude, please. Just 3 minutes. That's all I need. Mean Clean shrugged. Knock yourself out. Once inside the cafe, Big Joe took a deep breath, but he couldn't quite hide his nerves. He looked over at a waitress busily bustling about. If he asked the waitress out, "Excuse me, 1 coffee, please?" Big Joe grinned at the others. Man, I've always wanted to try coffee that wasn't from a can. The three waited patiently, but nobody brought Joe's coffee. They sure are taking their sweet time, Mean Queen grumbled. Whiplash, yeah, and you have to do Suzune's story to do this. Like, you have to do that. Yeah, this has been taking far too long, Flap said. Maybe she didn't hear your order. He peered at the waitress dubiously. Guess you don't have much choice, said Mean Clean. You'll have to make do with that, Big Joe. Huh? Mean Clean pointed to a pair of coffee cups that had been set on a nearby table. A middle-aged man in glasses sat there. He was scowling, probably in a nasty mood. The other seat was empty. It looked like whoever had been sitting there had stepped away for now. The man... Cannibalism? I'm trying to think back. Like, did they make a line of, like, did you drink my coffee or something? I don't think so. Big Joe seized the opportunity, hopping up to the table and bringing one of the cups to his lips. A bitter, dry taste filled his mouth. The flavor was nothing at all like that of canned coffee. He drained the cup in a single gulp and scampered back down from the table. How was it? Mean Clean asked. Big Joe had a distant look in his eyes. So that's what real coffee tastes like, he said. Just then, a woman returned to the empty seat, staring in consternation at her cup. They did say that in the main game, didn't they? I hate everything. I hate everything. Dad, did you drink my coffee? Of course not. Then why is my cup empty? What? The middle-aged man looked stunned. Honestly, first you used my cell phone without asking, now you're drinking my coffee. What are you trying to pull, Dad? Hey, hold on. Yes, I used your phone, but did not drink your coffee. As the two lurched into an argument, Mean Clean and his friends hurried. That's what caused their argument. Yeah, the Italian food sprites also canon. The trio split up in order to gather litter from all over Shibuya. Garbage was lying all over the place. There wasn't much need to search. Half-eaten slices of bread, half-drunk bottles of juice, banana peels, apple cores, cup noodles, hamburgers, ice cream, gum, candy, wrappers, fried chicken, fish bones. Everywhere they looked, there was enough to fill a trash bag in the blink of an eye. There seemed to be no end to it. Increasingly disheartened, Mean Clean, Big Joe, and Flaps continued their desperate mission. Mean Clean was steadily losing water, but he couldn't let himself worry about that now. They had to stop the evil green thing. They had to do whatever it took to keep its prime mass from growing. Deep in the very core of his being, Mean Clean knew this to be true. Yeah, I don't even... Hooch was dead. Mean Clean was close to death himself. But something deeper than sadness or anger drove him forward. Back when he battled the vegetable cult, Mean Clean had what you could have called a sense of justice. Once the fighting was finished, the state of Shibuya had left him feeling empty. After that, there had been nothing but a dark hole in Mean Clean's heart. Now he finally felt like he might be able to fill that hole, but he gained a hole in his stomach. No, he had to fill it. He didn't want to ever feel that emptiness again. Center Guy, Spanish Hill, Fire Street, The Moyai statue? Hachiko. Mejidori. Plenty of cigarette butts and spat out wads of gum lined the shoulder of the road. Ugh, this is just plain filthy. Mean Clean and the others continue their trash collection. Okay. Well, there's one more till we get the first of 3 trophies. This is Aki's Pass 1705. Here you see side of the road in blue text. Oh, okay. Side of the road. This game, man. Apparently we get an extra credit sequence if we finish this chapter, and apparently it's got behind-the-scenes clips of the game, of making the game, which I'm looking forward to. And again, this is the first of the 3 last trophies we need. Like, we're close. I think the next 2 are... Well, there's less steps in the next 2. I don't know if that means they're shorter stories or whatever. They're also way more convoluted. Way more convoluted. Like, if you're wondering how did people find these, you have no idea. Well, I'll read the next ones when we get there. Trust me. If you're baffled at how people found these, this is easy mode. Just getting that out there. Alright, come on, side of the road. Give me that side of the road. Clearly, now we gotta see how Mean Clean ends, obviously. I wish I gave more. It's just read through until you see side of the road. Yep, totally not Alpharad. Cool. Now's a good time to take a sip of my drink. I still think well, I have a lot of really favorite moments of side characters and bad ends being goofy and fun. I honestly think my favorite moment in the main story is Kajiwara and Osawa actually becoming friends. I think that may be the best part of the main story. And there's that or the ice machine having actual plot relevant ramifications. Either of those two. And there's clearly a lot of good in this story, all around, but becoming Dad Rose was, yeah, actually shocking, actually fantastic. Yeah, we're looking for the side of the road, but I really don't want to miss it. So... I gotta keep a close eye, because you know me. Yep. I'm gonna have to, find the soundtrack for this game afterwards. I've listened to a few of them on YouTube, but I'm gonna have to see if I can find a download for it or something. Yeah, he was an idiot. And Stanley not being a bad guy was also great. They put a lot of suspicions on him at first. Stanley was cool. Stanley and Kano actually, gaining a large mutual respect for each other, didn't see that coming at first. He was very clearly pointed as oh, these are two clashing, ideologies, they work differently, this is not gonna work. I'm really glad it played out, though. I just want to make sure we didn't go past it. Okay. I see the save icon, I'm oh no, did we pass it? Side of the road. Tossing cigarette butts and empty cans out of the street can potentially hurt people, and it definitely makes a mess. Please don't litter. It'll just make Mean Clean angry. This should be the final bit for this trophy. They had to gather up trash before the malevolent Prime Mass could get to it. Mean Clean made its way down the section of Midori that ran along the Shibuya River, picking up garbage as he went. Plenty of... Yeah. Picking up garbage as he went. Plenty of cigarette butts and spat out wads of gum lined the shoulder of the road. First things first, I'm gonna punch him right in the face. Then we can have ourselves a chat. Mean Clean knew that voice well. It was Aki, so we obviously shouldn't take this. The girl called Hitomi was by his side. There was some tall foreigner in sunglasses. Don't let your emotions get out of control. Your father might be one of the key players in this case. The man with the sunglasses spoke with cool authority. Aki gave him a steely-eyed glare. The situation looked pretty tense. Mean Clean called out to Aki as he headed on his way. I'm not sure what's going on, but hang in there, buddy. You and me both. I forgot to check his shirt when he was in the car, but I don't think he had the Mean Clean on it. I'm so mad that they dropped these little hints into it. So mad. But by now an hour and a half had passed since the friends had started picking up trash, and now they have all the trash in one spot, so the Prime Mass can just go to that one spot and just take it. Somehow they'd managed to gather up all the trash around the city. Together they'd amassed a veritable mountain of garbage bags. That's it, no more trash, Mean Clean said. He didn't look happy though. Neither did Big Joe and Flaps. That can't be, Flaps murmured. Oh yeah, no. It's far too insane to consider. Yeah, this is odd. Too odd. Big Joe clenched his hand into a fist. He was right. It was odd. They'd gather a tremendous amount of trash, but still is clearly not enough. There's simply no way that this could be all the trash in Shibuya. Mean Clean knew that painfully well from what he'd seen of the city with Aki every day. Were people becoming more mannerly and littering less than they used to? Had Aki's daily cleanup efforts actually borne fruit? An all too optimistic fantasy, but it was nice though. There was only one possible conclusion. They were too late. Everything they'd done had been in vain. Laps was unable to hide his fear of the threat that this implied. All Big Joe could do was sigh. We're just gonna have to do it, Mean Clean said. Do it? Do what? Big Joe sounded almost too worried to ask. Isn't it obvious? We go and find that Prime Mass thing and take it out. That thing we just met earlier said that it would just keep coming back. It doesn't even matter what we try and do. There's no point to it. Mean Clean smacked Big Joe upside the head. You dolt. You're going to give up before you've even tried? But, no buts. Besides, I don't see you coming up with any better plans. Big Joe sulked and turned away. Plan or no plan, how are we supposed to fight an opponent that won't even show itself? Flaps asked. Excuse me. The juice box had a point. Mean Clean wasn't sure what to say to that. The enemy was in hiding, and they couldn't fight what they couldn't see. Mean Clean was getting more and more riled up, with no target for his fury. God, this is such a waste of anger energy, he railed. There's no point to it now when there's nothing I can do with it. Wow, thanks, Hiccups. He stamped on the ground in a huff. I think something is stamping back. And then the ground began to shake. Yep, the heap of trash bags began to collapse before their eyes. Several dozen green feelers thrust up from underground. Nope. The ground split open and the bags of trash vanished into the earth. Anger, energy, silence. The place where the trash had been lay empty, as if nothing had ever been there in the first place. The trio had no words. Then a booming thunderclap split the blue sky. I don't remember booming thunderclaps happening. They were probably preoccupied with other stuff. Whoop. A massive black shadow loomed overhead. Whoa, is that thing for real? Big Joe stared up at the sky in horror. I'm pretty sure we would have noticed this. At some point? Definitely would have noticed this. The Metabon, the junk colony. The monstrosity drifted between the buildings. It was huge. They never looked up. Too huge. As they watched, it slurped up the green mass from underground, continuing to grow. There seemed to be no limit to its size. I'll handle this dude, Big Joe told Mean Clean. He adopted a fighting stance. Flaps, take him and get out of here. No, I can't let you do this. Heh, that thing may be big, but it's all soft and squishy. Don't worry, I'm made of metal. Big Joe leaped high into the air, launching himself at the monstrosity. Alright, Potion, see you around. Thanks for experiencing some of this. The instant he impacted the mass, he was sucked right in. There was a metallic squirk as his body was crushed. Big Joe! Mean Clean and Flap soared up into the air, weaving to avoid the monstrosity's extended tendrils. They can fly. Just, you know what? That's not the weirdest part of this. We're just gonna go with it. Now that they were on eye level with the thing, they seemed even bigger than before. Oh, gotcha. I was like... I gotcha. Too late, though. They can apparently fly. This is not an opponent that they could fight by recklessly rushing in headlong. Mean Clean's side screamed in agony. There was almost no water left inside him. I want to see a Super Saiyan water bottle. 100% I want to see that. Or combined. He had barely any strength in his arms, and his mind was foggy. At this rate, there was nothing he could do to stop himself from being devoured like Big Joe and Hooch. Alright, let's light this thing up, Flaps cried. Oh yeah, it is flammable, isn't it? In his hands was a cigarette lighter, the flame already lit. I picked this up while we were gathering trash, he said. If this monster's made out of food scraps and methane gas, and we get a flame near it, it should explode. Flaps was already charging toward the beast, the lighter held out in front of him. Die, you son of a bitch! Flaps, don't do it! Mean Clean hurried to stop him. Don't get any closer to that thing! Flaps hesitated in midair, looking back at Mean Clean with a frown. But this is the only way. This thing already took down Hooch and Big Joe. And look at the condition you're in. What else can we possibly do? But this is exactly what it wants. Flap's eyes went wide. Huh? I finally understand what it meant. Eventually, we shall engulf the entire city, enveloping it in death and decay. Remember that? Mean Clean looked down at the city below, at the houses and office buildings, at the passerby and vehicles coming and going. It wants to slurp up tons of trash, inflate itself to giant size, and then cause a massive explosion. Once that happens, the city will be a disaster. That's what it meant by enveloping everything in death and decay. No, trust me, put out that light. We can't risk blowing up the city. Flaps paused in thought for a few moments, then took his finger off the button for the lighter. With a sudden whoosh, one of the creature's long tendrils darted out and snatched him up. Mean Clean! The juice box struggled to croak the words out. A moment later, he was absorbed into the slimy green tentacle. Ugh. Mean Clean clenched his teeth and rushed towards the monster. Rage filled him. His body moved of its own accord.
Oh no!
He unleashed a flurry of punches and kicks, but the creature easily batted them aside. He felt certain that if he tried to grab hold of a tendril, he'd immediately be engulfed within its squishy mash. The thing seemed to be toying with him as a cat toys with a mouse. Mean Clean retreated a short distance and squared off with the monstrosity once more. It was a hopeless fight. No matter how many times he attacked the thing, his strikes had no effect. The thing was going to kill him. It was only a matter of time. Wasn't there something, anything he could do? As he teetered on the brink of consciousness, Mean Clean's mind raced. The creature slowly stretched its tendrils towards him, heralding its end. A sudden gunshot split the air. The monstrosity froze in its tracks. Juice! On the roof of the building below, Mean Clean spotted Juice Malone, down on one knee, sniper rifle at the ready. Juice fired off 3 shots in rapid succession. All 3 struck the monstrosity right between the eyes, merely millimeters apart. Mean Clean felt a brief ray of hope, but it turned quickly to despair. The creature calmly brought a tendril up to its face and scratched itself between oozing eyebrows. The bullets had been no more than mosquito bites of the thing. The monstrosity fixed its gaze on Juice, and its huge maw bent into an unnerving grin. It extended one of its finger tendrils and gave the end a sharp flick, sending the bulbous tip flying towards him. Then it quickly launched 3 more blobs, gleefully mimicking Juice's attack. Juice readied his weapon again and fired at the incoming projectiles, but the bullets vanished into the slime to no effect. Juice! One of the green globules struck Juice dead on, and the faint sound of shattering glass tinkled through the air. The cork sound effect is good. Blah, blah, blah. The monstrosity chortled malevolently, then lashed out with its tendrils. Ugh, a direct hit. Mean Clean was sent hurtling into a gap between two buildings. A break or space between two things. We are born amidst gaps. We live our life in them, and our lives fluctuate because of them. Gaps between ideals and reality. Gaps between good and evil. Gaps between hope and despair. Gaps between logic and instinct. Gaps between love and hate. Gaps between truth and lies. Gaps between the past and the future. Gaps between light and darkness. Gaps between order and chaos. Gaps between oneself and others. Gaps between dreams and reality. Gaps between life and death. Gaps between coincidence and the inevitable. That whole thing, you know, I'll save it for later. Damn it! Wait, did I miss the beat? Okay, no. Mustering the last of his strength, he launched himself back up into the air. Another tentacle strike was already coming its way. The creature had anticipated his return. Oh crap, Mean Clean thought, but it was too late to avoid the blow. Ugh! The monster's mighty swat slammed him into the ground. The bandage on his belly came loose, and the remaining water inside him began to dribble out. Soon he would lose the last of it. Oh yeah, this is 2000 and what was it, 2008? This is before Flex Tape, isn't it? Yeah, no worries, it's okay. These all get sent to YouTube, so like the archives will be up. Rest up, see you around. Fighting breeds hatred, and hatred only breeds more fighting. I'm not someone who is used to incurring the enmity of others. What are you doing, Sachio? Go! What's the matter? Come at me. Come on, hurry up and die already. As his mind grew ever more hazy, Mean Clean heard a series of strange voices. Lines of dialogue from Au revoir, a performance by the theater troupe The Wandering Angels. Right now, the protagonist Ryu is facing off against multiple assassins in the initial sword fighting scene. Where am I? What is this place? Theater Ace, located in Sakuragaoka. Assassin with an Endo accent number 1, played by Yuki Tozuka, was supposed to be cut down by one stroke of Ryu's blade, but since said assassin continued to writhe about on the ground after he was struck, Ryu had no choice but to continue slashing away at him. The line, "Come on, hurry up and die already," was spoken by the actor who plays Ryu, complaining once he was backstage. A wave of chill mist wafted over him. Oh my god, it's coming back! Carbon dioxide from the dry ice machine set up backstage. The machine is broken and continues to produce and spit out more and more dry ice. What was he doing here? If it freezes the water into him so he can't lose any more water, he couldn't die in a place like this. Go! Spurred on by the voices, Mean Clean got to his feet. Not yet. I'm not dying like this. I am not dying like this. Yeah, god damn it, he's full of dry ice. Mean Clean wobbled his way back up into the air. He was battered from head to toe. The odds were overwhelmingly against him. Yet a hint of a smile came to his face. I will do this. Just you wait and see. The waves of cold from earlier had caused clumps of whitish ice to solidify inside of him. Face me, he called out to the green monstrosity. I'm gonna kick your ass. The creature let out a roar and moved to attack. Foul tentacles lashed at Mean Clean from every side. He chose one of them and launched himself boldly towards it. Ah! The violent impact knocked him senseless and sent him sailing in the direction of Shibuya Station. The monstrosity hovered above the city, basking in the light of victory. No one was left to stop it from turning Shibuya into a wasteland. It spotted some power lines and reached out a feeler towards them. It was ready to blow itself up. Shorting out the lines would send up a shower of sparks. It'd only take one of those sparks for the creature to turn Shibuya into a blasted ruin. Slowly, slowly, the monstrosity extended its tendril. Its fingertips had mere centimeters further to go. Then, the dirty waters of the Shibuya River were split in two, and something came rocketing up from within. This ain't over yet. It was Mean Clean. The river water filled him to the brim, and he surged with vitality. He pointed sharply at the monstrosity. You didn't realize what I was doing, did you? I wanted you to knock me into the river. All according to Keikaku. The creature glared at him balefully. It pulled back the tendril that was reaching for the power lines and swung it like a whip at Mean Clean. Juice! Mean Clean shouted as he nimbly dodged the attack. Juice! If you're still alive, answer me! Almost at once, a gunshot rang out. Juice was down there on the rooftop below. Absolutely Super Saiyan moist. Absolutely. Green ooze had consumed part of him, but he'd somehow managed to cling to life. Shoot! Mean Clean shouted. Shoot me! Juice raised an uncomprehending eyebrow. Do it! Shoot me! It's the only way! Juice hesitated for a moment, then lined up Mean Clean in his crosshairs. Ugh! The bullet punctured Mean Clean's body. More! Shoot me more! He strained and stiffened in order to keep the bullet locked in place inside of him. Shoot! Shoot me, Juice! Ugh! He winced with pain as several more bullets struck him in the belly and back. It took all of his might to keep them from blasting right through him. Alright, preparations complete. Mean Clean lunged for the monstrosity. Wah! The monstrosity bellowed its toothy maw, yawning wide. Ah! Mean Clean sailed right into the thing's open mouth and was swallowed whole. A moment later, the monstrosity ruptured open with a stupendous sound. Its scattered remains dissolved into mist and vanished into the air. There hadn't been an explosion. Its insides had simply swollen and expanded until they couldn't be contained. Big Joe and Flaps tumbled to the ground. Ow! Huh? Are we still alive? Two looked around in bewilderment, trying to process what had happened. Then Mean Clean clattered down beside them. Oh man, he did. Ah, Mean Clean! Big Joe and Flaps rushed to his side. Half of his body was gone. Cracks zigzagged across what was left of him. Flaps gently set a hand against Mean Clean's body. He's so cold. He's dying! Big Joe's mouth hung open aghast. Hey now, don't go holding a funeral for me just yet. Mean Clean's voice was little more than a whisper. He couldn't even muster his usual triumphant grin. He had to struggle just to keep breathing. I kicked that thing's ass. Mean Clean looked up into the sky. Big Joe and Flaps followed his gaze. There was nothing there but the bright blue sky. The blue sky of a lovely spring day. That was amazing, Big Joe said between sobs. I knew you could do it, Mean Clean. But how? Flaps asked, wiping at the tears in his eyes. Dry ice. Dry ice? Yeah. I saw something on the news once about an accident caused by a plastic bottle bursting after it was filled with dry ice and water. Decided to put that to practical use. Wow, I get it. Now that you mention it, when dry ice sublimates, it expands to a volume over 700 times its solid size. Mean Clean, you could hold enough dry ice to expand to a volume of over 350 liters. He actually had no other option. Flaps nodded in understanding, still crying. And then, when your juice shoot you, you kept the compressed gas inside your body, then let the bullets blast out from inside you all at once. Turned himself into like a landmine. It's amazing, dude. But like, also way too reckless, said Big Joe. Yeah, I guess. Desperate measures for desperate situation. Don't try this at home, kids. There was a distant look in Mean Clean's eyes. Big Joe, Flaps, please, toss me in the bin. Big Joe and Flaps exchanged glances. Reasonable waste, said Flap solemnly. You got it. Thanks. Big Joe picked up Mean Clean and walked over to the trash bin. So long, dude. I'll send you on your way. Wait. Mean Clean weakly held up a hand. You still haven't taken my cap off. Always take the cap off a plastic bottle before throwing it away. Everyone knows that. But dude! Both Big Joe and Flaps had already realized, if the cap were removed, the fine cracks running through Mean Clean's bottle body would break it apart completely. That cap was the only thing keeping their friend together. Don't be ridiculous. No matter how many times I die, I'll keep coming back. I'm not your run-of-the-mill plastic bottle. Mean Clean fixed Big Joe and Flaps with an earnest stare. That trash machine was yes, absolutely. As long as the city isn't clean, monsters like that one we fought will keep turning up. Until I return, you guys are gonna have to make do somehow. Got it? Got it, dude, Big Joe said. Then gently, he unscrewed Mean Clean's cap. A moment passed, then Mean Clean's body burst into pieces. Shards of plastic glittered in the air like diamond dust. They were caught up by a gentle breeze, and Mean Clean was gone. Goodbye, dude. You were the cleanest. Orange-colored tears stained Flap's cheeks. No, Big Joe's face hardened. This isn't goodbye. It's until we meet again. He clutched the bottle cap tightly in his hand. He squeezed it again and again, in the hope that his wishes might be heard. There's still 2 more side stories I've got to remind you guys. We got 2 more left. There's another face to this city. When you casually gaze at the sights, amidst all of the normal everyday things, there are stories that nobody has told. Now some of them have been heard at last. Today has been a day for many stories, which I hope will live on in someone's heart. Until the day we meet again. Hechimaro? Ah. I've got 2 left. I'm gonna commit to finishing this tonight. Unless one of these ends up taking like 4 hours, I'm gonna commit to finishing this tonight. Yeah, it's got credits with behind the scenes stuff. Look at this. We get to hear their voices and see them move, like, in video. Like, this is the true reward. I mean, and a platinum. Soon. Again, Grim, you have no idea what hidden means. We'll find out in a few minutes. It's so weird. It's so weird, like, hearing their voices. I'm gonna get you. This is fantastic. This is really good. This is a great reward. This is Teteno, though. Oh man. Like, it's easy to forget because it's all stills that, like, they basically had to film it effectively. He's...
I love to be funny for the camera.
Is he British? Is he British? They had to censor the mask. Oh, this is good. The biggest plot twist. Just slapping the chicken. Everybody running by is slapping the chicken. Oh yeah, I forgot about that ending. That happened. Don't get me wrong, the story was entertaining and it's how did anybody decide to put this in the game? That's all we needed. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. They filmed it all in 60 days. Alright. Well, at least all on location. Hey Birdie, welcome to Viperland in the chat. How you doing tonight? How are you? Thank you for the raid. We are 2 trophies away. Wow. Behind the scenes footage was the best part. We beat the game, we're going for trophies. This was a hidden credit sequence with behind the scenes footage. Yeah, that's a decently well hidden, but like, good reward. That was good. Don't forget, we still have 2 more side stories left. They should be theoretically shorter stories, but that was... I feel like it ain't gonna beat that. Got a golden bookmark now. With Mean Clean on it. That was good. That was really good. I'm gonna have to go see if I can find that as just a video online somewhere. Mean Clean door added to bonus content. Alright, so remember what I was like, oh, you guys don't even know about hidden stuff. Okay, so here's what we gotta do. To be fair, I was confusingly entertained by the Mean Clean story, but that was the most wholesome ending to all that. Okay, so we have to have completed Mean Clean. Did that. Bring up the timeline, select Winter Call at 1735. Start at the second choice, a common name 2. Okay. Winter Call 1735. There's a documentary? Okay, so I'm watching that after this. I'll post it in the Discord because I'm watching that after this. Like, for sure. That has to be. But the fact that I put some of it here. Okay. Common name 2. Choose option B, Nakamura. Wait a few seconds without advancing the text. Again, this can only be done after what we already did. So it's not like you could mistakenly find this mid-game. Wait a few seconds without advancing the text. I now have to rotate the right stick round and round and round to distort the screen. Not too quick, not too slow. I have to rotate the right analog stick. So, by the way, the next one's even more hidden, but you'll have to forgive me. This is the only way I can keep them from watching. They are wary of me. It's not as easy as it used to be to sneak a message into a game. That's why I've used this transmission program to send my message to you. Surely they won't notice this. My name is Koichi Nakamura, chairman of Spike Chunsoft. I've given publicity interviews for our new game, so perhaps you are familiar with my face. But the Koichi Nakamura that you have seen is not actually me. He is one of them, a skillful impersonator who has taken my place. Yet it seems that my captors are fickle masters. My only form of entertainment in this room is the TV, and just the other day I saw my other self on the screen, and he looked subtly different than the one I've seen before. The original Koichi Nakamura who replaced me seems to have been nothing more than a disposable pawn to them as well. I've been locked up this tiny room for a long time. Telling the world about my captivity seemed impossible, and I had long since given up. But now, a chance has suddenly come my way. The other day, a fake me came to my prison room with a request. He told me to remake my old game, Door Door, so that a version could be included in this game. He told me that I had 1 hour. I tried to tell him that this was impossible, but he wouldn't listen. He just said, "I'll be back in 1 hour," and departed. So again, keep in mind, you had to have beaten both post-game stories, gotten the true ending, found done both of at the super end of the post-game stories, links back to the main true ending, and then back, then found those extra clues along the main story to do the entirety of the main clean story, then gone to this point, waited at that screen without pushing anything, and known to rotate the right stick. This is at the point we're at so far. Sorry, I got one stray hair. You know what? Screw it. On my face. That's at this point. The next one's worse. I'm sure he intended to torture me mercilessly if I don't meet my deadline. I had no choice. I had to do it. I dragged a dusty PC from the corner of the room and started coding as hard as I could. A half hour later, I had managed to finish. I gave the code a test play. I hadn't managed to reproduce all the fine details, but it worked, so that was good. Still, not having played Door Door in so long, I'd forgotten how difficult it could be. I spent about 20 minutes struggling with it, and then I got an idea. I could hide my message in the code of this program. If all I did was hide it, though they were certain to find it. In order to keep them from spotting it, I decided to include this transmission program. This should protect my secret. Just now, I received a signal from your gaming device. I am writing this message in reply. Quite frankly, I didn't expect to succeed. But I did. My fingertips are trembling with anticipation. Happening live, yo. Have to watch without understanding? That's fine. These transmissions are my only means of contacting the outside world. I'm begging you, please, if you can, keep this game close at hand at all times. And every so often, boot the game up and check to make sure my messages are still live. Day will come when I am able to reveal their plan. But until that day comes, please, don't let this game out of your possession. You have my deepest thanks for the playing. Koichi Nakamura. So, with anything else bigger and more popular than this, I'd be like, oh, there's a fan translation out there, I guarantee. But at this rate, I'm pretty sure that we comprise about a third of the English-playing fandom of this game. So, probably not. There you go. We have one final trophy left. Finish the true conspiracy scenario, which is what we just did. After completing the conspiracy scenario, bring up the timeline, select Aki at 1705. Use down to skip through the text and see the side of the road tip, which contains to jump to the final chapter of Mean Queen. Oh, that's too... Is that too far? Yeah. Side of the road. From there, press down again to skip the last page and scroll back up until the reread option lights up. Okay. So again, we have to do everything we've done, go back to this, take this passage to Mean Queen, press down till we hit the literal end of it and go back upwards. Just one second. So scroll all the way down, go up till reread is lit. From there you can press the touchpad and use right to set the text auto advance and let the remainder of the chapter play out. Oh, so there is a way to speed it up. No, it's already as high as it'll go, but whatever. At the very end there will be a different final message with some directional words in all caps. Press those directions on the D-pad in order. You will need to do this before the screen fades to black. When done correctly, you'll bring up a black screen with several pages of text. Once you read through this, the trophy will unlock. You will also receive the prismatic bookmark and the platinum. So yeah, well hidden, maybe? And there'll be a different final message, some directional words in all caps. Okay. Oh man, that's really cool, and I'm definitely gonna watch it whether I understand a word of it or not. Just seeing these actors like go through the behind the scenes stuff and like seeing them in motion and hearing voices is just so like, it's especially because it's all like happy clips. It's yeah. Oh yeah, it's honestly shocking it ever made it to YouTube. I mean, to be fair, in Japan this game was more popular, because it came out, and this is what started Spike Chunsoft, really. They had games before, but this was their big hit before Danganronpa, which was the big hit that we know them from over here in America. But this was their actual first big hit. I mean, again, it was enough to get a legitimate, high-production anime, like... You don't do that for a basic game. So yeah, apparently if I miss it, I'll have to do this again, so... Hopefully we don't miss this. I still can't believe the direction that some of the side content in this game took. I love it, but I can't believe it. Like, it's crazy entertaining, crazy out of left field at times. This game's a work of art, okay? Right, and there will be a different final message, okay. I don't know if it means after credits or the sequence we're about to see. I'm hoping it means this. This is different. Now the curtain falls after a very long day, and all is right with the city at last. For now, there are no more tales left to tell of the people of Shibuya. Their crossing paths and intertwining fates have painted so many pictures for you already. If you ever want to see what they are up to, however it comes down... Okay, I missed the rest of it, but I don't care, I didn't miss the thing. I have slipped out of the room where they keep me, and I am currently typing in the keyboard at a programmer's desk. I think he'll be back soon, so I need to be brief. This may sound like it's all nonsense, but please bear with me. I believe that he has included a message in this game, passing it off as the truth, a message in which he claims to be the victim. This message can only be viewed after you've played the game over and over. Upon reading it and feeling the sense of accomplishment that comes with it, you may be inclined to simply believe what it says. But it's all lies. It's a cunning trap set by Koichi Nakamura to deceive you, or Koichi. Do not be fooled. I got wind of his plan a long while back. It was summer, several years ago. He had hidden a message in a game he developed back at the time. Later, while out drinking with a friend who plays games, the subject of this secret message came up. My friend had played the game and had seen the message, but he said there was no phone number included. The message I saw, however, definitely included a phone number. I thought it was strange, but I was curious enough to give it a call. A man answered. He spoke in a low, hushed tone. "Mr. Kitajima," he said, "could you please come here right away?" he asked. I headed for the designated location, which was in the Shibuya ward of Tokyo. Then, as I stood alone in the darkness of a side street, I was grabbed from behind, blindfolded, and abducted. I was struck on the back of the head with a blunt instrument and immediately lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was in a tiny room with no windows. 2 other people were there. Takamaru Abiko and Kinoko Nasu, writers for this game, or for the game. They'd both been kidnapped the same way, locked up and forced to write game scenarios. Nasu had been brought in relatively recently, but it sounded like Abiko had been locked in there for over a decade. Right now, the people operating as myself, Akibo, and Nasu are not the real us, but fakes employed by Nakamura. The details of my imprisonment naturally began to slip into my writing. I'll cut to the chase here. It was late at night, and I had come close to finishing up writing the scenario for this game. I could hear voices coming from the room next to mine, the voices of Nakamura and his underlings. I couldn't believe what I heard. They said they had programmed the game to emit some kind of electromagnetic waves? I couldn't really hear that well. On the game's screen, which would let them know who had purchased it. If the game console connected to the internet, things got even more sinister. It would send a signal to them online, giving them the user's name and address. I couldn't make out all the finer details, but their conversation was peppered with words like abduction, brainwashing, and submission. So it's clear they had some kind of nefarious plan in the works. That's why I decided to leave this message here, to warn you that you're at risk, and the danger is getting ever nearer. It wasn't easy, including this message in a way that they won't find. If they do discover it, they will surely kill me. By the time you read this, I may already have left the world of the living. But when I think of you, an innocent gaming enthusiast just looking to play a great game, I can't stand idly by and do nothing. It's been a month or more since they purchased this game, then they almost... Oh, if it's been a month or more since you purchased this game, then they almost certainly know who you are. It's only a matter of time before they show up at your home. Maybe it's already too late. They might already be right there, keeping an eye on you as they wait for the right moment to strike. Has anyone moved into your neighborhood lately? Did the clerk at the nearby convenience store get replaced by someone else? If you live with parents or siblings, take a good, close look at their faces. It's not inconceivable that they've been swapped out with convincing fakes. You don't feel like there's someone watching over your shoulder right now, do you? Wait, if you do sense a watcher, then just don't turn around. If you do, they will notice, and you'll become their prey on the spot. Just act like you're enjoying the game and haven't noticed anything unusual. Maybe you don't believe me, but this is all true. The conspiracy is getting bigger. It's spreading throughout Japan, throughout the rest of the world. Now it's on your very doorstep. This is not the first time I've included a message like this in a game. The last time I did so, several brave people took action. Perhaps that's the reason why Koichi Nakamura grows more restless every day. Just a little more. We need just a little more patience. At long last, we have a chance to stop their secret plan. Try to hold out if you can. Don't get caught up in their conspiracy. Don't be deceived by their schemes. The day of our victory approaches. Prismatic bookmark. Well, trophy earned. Wait for it. Wait for it. They walk among us.
Everybody.
Honorary SOS member. My second platinum trophy earned on stream to the best of my recollection. I don't think I got any of my other ones on stream. We got Monster Hunter World, obviously. I don't think any of the other ones were done on camera. So this is my second platinum trophy obtained on camera, I believe. Give me a second. Let me double check that. My other platinums were No Man's Sky off camera, Steins Gate off camera, Nier off camera, 15 off camera, Deadly Tower of Monsters off camera, Persona 4, Tales from the Borderlands, Life is Strange, Steins Gate, Final Fantasy 13-2, and Danganronpa all off camera. With 13 minutes to spare, by the way. We can't. I don't got nothing else for 13 minutes. I'm done here. We did it all. It took 90 hours and 44 minutes. Probably round it down to somewhere closer to 85 to 90, considering I tend to leave the game on. Considering I got this game for 24 bucks, I got this at half price. For a joke? It all started as a joke. It's been a hell of a ride. A great ride. And I hope everybody here has enjoyed it as well. Holy crap, this game. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the Danganronpa series. This game has just got content, though. Like, holy crap. Holy crap. Been a great ride. The entire way. Obviously, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. It's been one hell of a ride. I'm going to make sure this is up on YouTube, so the whole platinum process is there, actually. Excuse me, from day one of the game start to platinuming it, it'll all be on YouTube archived. Which is, again, the only game that I could say that for. We've platinumed one other, but not the entire road was there, archived. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch the documentary now, too. Tomorrow... The heck is tomorrow? Tomorrow we're doing 13 Sentinels. Tuesday, Monster Hunter World Crown Farming. Wednesday, I think, is Fatalis. If it's not, Thursday is Fatalis. Friday is the start of our journey through Resident Evil 7, which I've never played. And I don't know past that. No idea. So yeah. Been a hell of a ride. The credit sequence with the bloopers and behind the scenes stuff, fantastic. Great inclusion. And I'm glad they hit it behind the easiest of the hidden unlockables, because it's entirely possible I would never have found this without a guide. Period. Done. Hard stop. Ever, never would have found this without a guide. Probably wouldn't have found Mean Clean, but cool. That was great. Normally I toss a raid. Yeah, let's raid somebody. I shouldn't be lazy. I'm hungry, but like, I shouldn't be lazy. We're in fact ending early. I should absolutely send a raid. You know what? A pirate in Japan is playing Genshin Impact. Let's take a look. Let's see what it's about. Let's, we also haven't gotten to raid a pirate in Japan in forever. There we go. We got the raid, we got ourselves a monster, a quote, a Discord, and you know what? Celebratory act. We got all the trophies. We got another platinum. We got a bunch of confusion. We got a lot of cool stuff. We got a bunch of sadness. This day in particular was an emotional roller coaster, for sure. But we also have a raid message. Thank you again, everybody coming by, whether it be for tonight or for any part of this ride. Or, I don't think anybody's watching this on YouTube, but if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks to you too. I hope you've enjoyed this hell of a ride all the way through. I'm glad that I could discover this game and help other people discover it too. All from just one random, like, top 10 video from a few years back that I stumbled from somebody else. It's like, this game's pretty good, you should check it out. I'm not going to show much of it, I don't want to spoil anything. And I was like, that sounds goofy, cool. So good. This has been Viper of Viperland. Thank you all for tuning in, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.